Hey there, legends. It's Chronos back again with another wild anime theory. Today we're exploring What If Deku Had the Mera no Mi? Part 1. Folks, we're diving into epic fan theories, insane power-ups, and crossovers that mix the best of My Hero Academia with classic fire abilities. If you love deep dives into anime, fan speculations, and explosive action, hit that subscribe button now and ring the bell. Let's get those 100 likes for our next milestone. I truly appreciate your continuous support. You're the heart of this channel. And a huge shout out to Stillwell03, the mastermind behind our story magic. Let's get into it, my awesome crew. Just like we're chatting as best friends. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Third-person POV, the war of the best. Arguably one of the most hectic wars the world government has had in a long time. Many pirates and marines alike had lost their lives in the hopes to take down one of the most powerful pirates and his crew, the Whitebeard Pirates. Among those lost was the 2nd Division commander known as the Fire Fist, Portgas D. Ace. He was one of the most powerful among the Whitebeards to obtain the rank of one of their best at an early age. Those that knew him as a pirate or villain were relieved to hear his death. Those that saw the Whitebeards as a form of respectful pirates felt heartbroken. But to two people in particular, this was a form of strife. Mom, why does that man have his fist in Dad's chest? A small boy no older than 5 said as he held a hat that was worn by the Fire Fist. A woman that had long green hair looked at her son with tears streaming down her face. Izuku, I'm sorry. She held her son close, trying to keep the child from seeing Ace impaled through the chest. The woman was on the verge of a mental breakdown at the sight of the man she loved dying for everyone to see. The only reason she kept it together was because of her son. Pulling his head up to see the screen, the boy saw the man that was his father slowly lose all the life in him, and a man with a straw hat breaking down into tears. Dad, you can't be gone. You can't. Few days later, Smoker POV. You want me to what? After the Battle of Marineford, Vice Admiral Garp had asked me to talk to him in private about something. I want you to go to this location and protect the people here. He gave me the coordinates and address for me to be still rather confused. What's so special about these people? Heck if I know. I raised my eyebrow to him as he continued. Before Ace's execution day, he told me that the only thing he wants to do is keep the people in that specific location safe. I can't go myself since I'm facing some backlash because of how I acted in the war. You, on the other hand, are free to do this. So you're letting me go and find out what's at a place a pirate gave you? Garp let out a sigh before answering. Before Ace was born and Roger died, the fool asked me for a similar favor to protect Ace. I treated him like my own grandson when his mother passed. If I'd ask any other Marine, chances are they'd arrest the people at this location and possibly put them to death out of fear they may have connections to Roger's bloodline. You've seen how terrible the Marines can be for no reason than just the hollow thought of upholding justice. This war could have been avoided if we executed Ace discreetly like we normally do with pirates like him. However, the Marines wanted to make a message and it was heard. Now, I'm stuck reliving a horrid memory that I did when Ace was about to be born. A tear came into the Vice Admiral's eye, and that was all it took for me to understand this was a personal matter. I'll find out what's here and tell you. When that happens, I'll let you decide whether to report this or not. I left heading towards my ship to start moving out. 12 hours later, the evening came with my trip to wherever this place was to be long and annoying. I eventually found myself at an apartment fitting the address. Was it some kind of lover or someone he wanted to keep safe? Or an adopted kid? I knocked on the door to hear someone walk towards it. When it opened, I noticed a woman with hollowed eyes like she was dead inside and long dark green hair. Can I help you? Hello, my name is Commodore Smoker. I'm a member of the Marines. She seemed very distrusting of me without breaking eye contact for a moment. May I come in? She opened the door for me to walk into the house. While I did, I heard sobs from inside a room that was labeled, Izuku. What did you wish to discuss? We entered the dining area where the woman offered me tea. It was something a friend of mine had said. He mentioned something about wanting to keep the people here safe, Miss Inko Midoriya. She seemed more angered at me before asking a question. Who is this friend of yours? Vice Admiral Garp. He obtained word from his grandson who recently passed that the people here would need some assistance. He also mentioned the possible connection to Portgas D. Ace. The woman went pale while shaking. I don't know what would make you think that. So if I asked the person in the other room that same question, he'd give me the same reply dash. Do not touch him. The woman held a kitchen knife to me with clear hatred in her eyes. You're really going to pull a knife on a Marine? Shut up. Marines like you are a dime a dozen. You butchered your own men at Marineford just to kill some pirates. As far as I'm concerned, you're no better than the men you say you protect us from. This is going nowhere. I pulled a cigar out with a lighter before glancing at Inko. Do you mind if I smoke in here? She passes me an ashtray for me to wait a few moments to take in some of the smoke before blowing it out. I came here in peace, not to fight. Like that's ever stopped the Marines from doing evil. Look, I understand your hatred, but I'm not here as a Marine. I'm here as someone wanting to fulfill the last will of the Fire Fist before his end. I could tell the woman wasn't happy when I said this, so I began to explain what happened. When Portgas D. Ace was still in custody, he had asked Vice Admiral Garp to come here and protect the people in this location from the Marines. This information is only given to me and none of the upper brass. If you want to try and kill me, go ahead. But the second I'm missing, you will be interrogated and the chances of you and whoever is in the other room have to stay safe and out of the grasp of the people who killed the man you care for are gone. I'm not your enemy here. I actually want to help instead of cause problems as you think. The woman was scared before lowering the knife held at me. She placed it on the table to sit across from me. Did Ace really tell his grandfather to help us? He did. I blew a little smoke out before the sound of the sobbing began to resemble that of a kid. So who exactly is in the other room? My son. When Ace was starting his time as a pirate, we met and he saved me from some guys that wanted to do harm. We soon fell in love and well, I get it. So the kid's fire fists. Yes, that just made things a little more complicated. No wonder he asked the Vice Admiral to protect the people here. Ace told me to have our son keep my maiden name and have our meetings be very secret. A lot of people would have loved to hold us as ransom for Ace to be captured. Marines included. Inko stopped for a moment before continuing. He also told me how his lineage is one that the Marines want to end because of its link to GOLD. Roger, I understand he was dangerous, but my son is still a boy. He doesn't understand what his lineage did yet. All he knows is unfortunately the typical admiration kids have towards their parents. I put my cigar out and began walking towards the door that the kid was in. Do you mind if I speak with him? Not like I'd be able to stop you. I opened the door to see several hero posters and some action figures in a dark room. So this kid likes heroes. In the corner, I noticed a bed with a small child curled up in a ball weeping with a hat over his head. Hey kid, go away. He seemed really mad for me to walk deeper into the room. I said go away. I sat on the bed next to the runt to see a hat that belonged to Fire Fist. That's your father's hat, right? So what if it is? He was mad at me, not saying I wouldn't blame him since the Marines ended his father's life. Why? I glanced over to see the kid tighten his grip on the hat. Why did he have to die? He was my dad. He was cool and helped us. Hick, what did he do that made him have to die like a monster when he's helped others and didn't take from good people? Why did he have to die like that? Kids were never my best suit, but I understood where he was coming from in this. No matter what I tell you, that answer means nothing to help. As a pirate, Marines are obligated to stop him. But sometimes we forget that even though some pirates do the worst things imaginable, there are still some that do the right things and don't align with the views of the Marines. I can tell you for hours about Fire Fist being a bad person in the eyes of the Marines all I want, but that won't make a difference. In the end, we still stole your own father from you. I placed a hand on his head for the kid to come over and hug me crying into my coat. It hurts. Hick, it hurts so much. I know. I'm sorry that you had to see that. A boy should never watch as his father die, especially the way that yours did. It isn't right. I placed my hand on his back to pat him while thinking just how screwed up our Marine orders were. Are you happy now, son Goku? You broke a child for what you did and made the Marines look like a bunch of monsters. No, you revealed that we're nothing but monsters pretending to uphold justice. After about a half hour of the kids crying, I brought him out to sit beside his mother and explain the issues that will happen. As of right now, the Marines will make sure that Roger's bloodline is completely gone. That means you two will be in danger. For now, the keeping of your mother's maiden name will help. But if a blood test is done, you won't be hidden. What do you plan for then? I thought about it before answering. From now on, I'll be looking after you all. G5 has a marine base near here for me to ask a favor of Admiral Akiji. Since it's rare for me to request things, he won't look too deeply into this. This will give me the ability to train you to defend yourself, kid. Izuku, excuse me, and my name is Izuku. Alright then. Before going any forward, kids his age get quirks. Does he have one, and what is it? I asked for Izuku to hold his hand out and it ignited. So the flame fruit altered it so you have a form of pyrokinesis like your old man's. Look, from now on, I want you to keep the fact you have that quirk to yourself and lie saying you didn't manifest one. If word got out you have a fire quirk that works in the same way as a devil fruit, you'll be giving red flags. Yes, sir. I got up to leave before the kid pulled my coat. Mr. Smoker, sir. Who was that man next to my dad when he died? Straw Hat Luffy, a pirate who's Ace's younger brother. Your uncle. I left the house and went towards my ship. When I was in an enclosed area, I began to call Vice Admiral Garp. Hello, sir. The Smoker. I found out what Fire Fist wanted to keep safe. What was it? I pinched the bridge of my nose before answering. A woman and a kid. Turned out he had a son. There was a silence on the other line before the Vice Admiral spoke silently to himself. God damn it, Son Goku. How old is the kid? 4. Also, he has the powers of the flame fruit in the form of a quirk. So we basically took a boy's father away from him. Did he watch this occur? Unfortunately, the sound of something breaking on the other side of the snail was heard for me to know the Vice Admiral was ticked off. I'm going to put in a request for Admiral Akiji to place me in the G5 base stationed near here. That'll allow me to protect and train the kid. I'll support the transfer. With my recommendation added on, that should keep from having problems. Thank you, sir. I'll see you tomorrow with the finalized request forms. I was about to hang up before being stopped. Smoker. I waited for him to answer before hearing a shaken statement. You don't have to do this if you don't wish to. I can watch over the kid if you feel forced to do so. I'm not forced. Besides, I think I'm in a little too deep to back out now. I hung up the transponder snail before laying back in my chair. You were right, Garp. I don't think anyone else in the Marines would be able to handle keeping this from the upper brass. I blew out a little smoke, feeling somewhat ashamed of what had been done to Izuku. I'm sorry that the road ahead of you is going to be long and hard, kid, but this strife will make you stronger in the end. I just hope you don't do something that'll make me regret taking you under my wing. Frustration of being hidden. 14 years later, Izuku POV. *beep beep. The sound of my alarm went off for me to start moving my hand to hit it and accidentally use more force than I should have to break it. Oh, come on. That's the 5th one this week. Izuku, it's time to get up. I moved my head out from my pillow to get up and land right in a soft and rather firm chest. Now, Izuku, you have school today. Like mother-in-law always says, you must take the actions you must first before everything else. I pulled my head out of Baby Five's chest to look up at her. Nice to see you're up. Breakfast is ready downstairs if you dash. I look at her eye to eye with a blush showing on her face. Izuku, why are you looking at me like that? I slowly moved my hand for her to go from a small blush to beet red before grabbing the cigarette out of her mouth. What have I told you about smoking in my room? It's bad enough after Smokey's training I smell like his cigars. I really don't want my room to stink like an ashtray, says the man that can actually turn into a blazing inferno. Please don't get me started, Monet, pointing the obvious out. Monet walked into my room to grab Baby Five and drag her out while I got ready for school. We'll be downstairs when you're ready. Once I was finally alone, I got changed into my high school uniform. Just one last year, then I can join UA. I walked down to see Mom enjoying a pleasant talk with Monet while Baby Five made certain my food was ready. Morning, Mom. Morning, sweetie. I began to sit down and start eating before noticing Baby Five's lighter wasn't working. Hey, Izuku, you mind helping me out? Not a problem. I pointed my finger at the cigarette before sending a small flame to light the end. Thanks. I started to dig into my food with Monet closing some of her medical files to speak with me. So, Izuku, what are you going to do for the entrance exams for UA? I'm probably going to use hockey in order to get in. To be honest, pretending to be weak is getting annoying. But don't you pretend to be weak just so Akainu doesn't find you? Sadly, I glanced up at the time to realize I had to get moving. I'll see you all later. I'm gonna be late. I grabbed my bag and finished my meal before bowing to Baby Five. Thank you for the meal. As always, it was delicious. I immediately ran out before bumping into Tashigi. Izuku, you're in a rush today. Sorry, Tashigi. I'm just running a little late today. I started running as fast as I could before hearing her shout. Don't forget, Smoker has a training session with you today after school. Try not to be late. I won't. I ran as fast as I could, remembering everything that's happened since I became a student under Vice Admiral Smoker. Since I started, I've met a bunch of Marines that honestly were outcasts by their standards in G5. Kinda made me a little better knowing that these men, though, are very respectable and trust you with your life when they deem you worthy of it. In that time, I was also able to meet Tashigi, currently a captain of the Marines who I kinda like messing with from time to time. She's a little too rough around the edges, but I've not met anyone more respectful of those under them besides Smokey. Speaking of people I've met, I was able to find Baby 5 and Monet during some expeditions with the Marines of G5. Thanks to some off-the-book medical lessons, I was able to temporarily make a heart for Monet before she'd get a real artificial one in place when we were on Punk Hazard. I was also able to help save Baby 5 from a cruel fate of being pulled into the Dressrosa incident with Doflamingo and his group. Currently right now, they're kinda on parole by Smoker and serving out their time under mine and Mom's roof. Monet helps at a hospital, making it somewhat her way to repent for what she's done to some children in the past, while Baby 5 works kinda like hired help for us. Since she's so easy to trust others, we can't really let her do things out in public where she'd be able to be manipulated so easily. Kinda surprised she's lived as long as she has, but her heart is pure and doesn't want to believe people can lie. Shit, I gotta pick up the pace. Speaking of Smokey, since I was a child, he's helped me train with my quirk while also messing with some documents to make me seem quirkless by a doctor's standard. He also taught me some marine tricks such as the 6 powers as well as hockey. If I was honestly able to use what I know, I'd probably be able to take on anyone and easily win against those in my high school. Unfortunately, that would cause me more problems. So as such, I hold back a lot of my talents to the point I look like a weak and powerless person. Stand clear of the closing door, please. I heard the automated voice say this to look around and see nobody of importance around. If I don't get this train, I'll be late. The door started closing for me to accept the risk. Shave. I came right into the cart. For some that were paying attention to double glance at me. Had to get this train. Not knowing and probably not caring, they ignored this and went on with their day. At least nobody important was around. At Aldera High School, the bell began to ring for our teacher to walk in holding a stack of papers. All right, everyone, you're third years now, so that means you need to start thinking of your future. To help with that, I've got some career forms for you all. When he got to the podium, our teacher threw the stack of papers in the air. But who am I kidding? You all want to be heroes. Everyone began using their quirks besides me and my childhood friend. Now, I know you all have amazing quirks, but it's against school rules for you to use them on campus. Oi, teach, don't lump me in with these extras. The best they'll get is a spot with some shitty D-lister pro. Katsuki Bakugu, or as I call him Kachin, began speaking up while holding a somewhat arrogant smirk. Shut up, Bakugu. Yeah, what do you know? The teacher started looking down a clipboard before stating something, stroking Kachin's ego even more. Oh yeah, Bakugu is planning to go to UA. Everyone quieted down, knowing Kachin was most likely gonna get into a school that has such a low pass rate. That's right. You're looking at the next number 1 in the making. He jumped on his desk and began boasting about himself. I aced all the mock tests. So did I, but nobody will ever know that. And destroyed the mock battles. I could have gotten just as high as you if I was able to use partial strength of what I have. Soon I'll be the most amazing and richest hero out there. I'll even surpass All Might. Oh yeah, Midoriya's also aiming for UA too. The room went silent before everyone busted out in laughter. Midoriya? You gotta be kidding me. He's gonna get clobbered in the exam. Why doesn't he just give up and save the embarrassment? DKU. Kachin immediately slammed his hand on my desk to make an explosion. You think you'll get in with no fucking quirk? Are you trying to get in my way? I am not. I just wanted to try and get into the hero course and be a hero. That's all. Everyone started laughing harder at them, believing I was weak enough to die in the entrance exams. All right, everyone, we have work to do, so please take this after class if you must. I avoided being attacked right off the bat, But I knew that Kachin wasn't done yet. Why didn't I request for general studies like Tashiji suggested? After school, I began packing up to head over to the G5 base before having my notebook with all my skills inside it being swiped. We ain't done yet, nerd. He glanced at the front before raising an eyebrow. Techniques for heroism? The fuck you'd need lame shit like this for? Come on, Kachin. Give it back, please. He looked as if he was going to give it back before smashing his fist on the notebook to destroy it and threw it out the window. That was mean. Give up on going to UA. It'll save you a shitload of embarrassment since you'll fail anyway. Quirkless freak. I wanted to yell at him and blast him with fire right then and there, but what he said next angered me even more. You know, there is a way for you to get a quirk. Take a swan dive off the highest roof you can find and pray for a quirk in your next life. I couldn't take it anymore to turn towards him, hardening my body with the iron body technique. What? You want to start something? I stopped immediately, remembering that I had to stay with a low profile. Figured, you're too much of a coward to do shit anyway. As Kachin and his cronies walked away, I wanted to scream and shoot him with all my fire I could make to prove I'm not worthless or quirkless. If only fucking Akainu would leave me be. I grabbed my bag and walked out to the koi pond to pick up my notebook. Glancing through it, a large portion of the pages were badly damaged, with the penmanship being impossible to read. If only I could show you just who the useless one really is, Kachin. Then you'll understand. I started walking out of the school and noticed Tashiji standing outside. You okay? You look a little depressed. I'm fine. Just a little agitated is all. I started walking out in no real direction. Where are you going? Smoker said that you need to train today. I'll be a little late. Apologize for me. I'm not your errand girl. Besides, I'm the older one and I have my own training to do. I ignore Tashiji and start walking into the city, somewhat unsure where I'm going in life. For the past few years, all I can do is hide and cower. Why can't I just do something worthwhile? I felt absolute anger in myself, wanting nothing more than to just let who I am out. If only I could show just what I can be. I shout in anger, remembering Kachin's words. Isn't there some goddamn way I can be strong without having to worry about the fucking Marines? Nobody answers me for the silence under the bridge I was traveling across to give me my answer. I guess I better head over to Smokey and start training. I'm probably gonna get some lumps from skipping out anyway. While heading over a manhole, some kind of person made of sludge came out and looked directly at me. Well, this is my lucky day. You saved me a lot of hassle, kid. Now, let me take control of your body. I dodged the villain rather easily before using armament hockey to punch it into the wall. You really picked the wrong time to mess with me. I was already pissed off before. Now I'm furious. Red Hawk. I punched the sludge villain right in the face for him to splatter everywhere and a molten indent of my fist being put in the wall. I probably went too far. The manhole popped open after to show All Might jump out with a smile on his face. I am here. I ignored this and began picking up the pieces of the sludge villain. Sorry, All Might. Someone kinda did your job already. I see. Was this crater here you're doing then? I immediately lied to avoid any unwanted attention. No. Some wacko with a fire quirk came and put that hole in a little before. He seemed mad though. I finished putting the sludge villain in a bottle that was randomly laying around before giving it to All Might. Thank you for the assistance, young man. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must put this villain in police custody. Wait, All Might, if I could ask you for a moment of your time, could you just answer one single question for me? Depends. What type of question is it? I didn't know how to put it, so I explained what's been happening to me without going into details. For years now, I've tried my best to be someone that can be strong without a quirk. I've fought for almost every day of my life just so I can achieve a dream I had. But right now, I feel like I don't know where to go and that the dream I have is pointless. So please, All Might, can you tell me if it's possible to actually be a hero without a quirk? I was begging for an answer to prove that it's still possible without using my flame quirk. I'm sorry, young lad, but that's almost impossible. Heroes put their lives on the line every day and not many survive even with quirks of their own. For you to be a hero, you'd have to put yourself in situations that demand you to sacrifice your life. If you do not have a quirk, this will only make things far more challenging. So my answer is no. I don't think it's possible to be a hero without a quirk. He leaped away with my mind now becoming more clouded than before. In anger, I punched the ground knowing my life will never change. Why? Why can't I at least have a fucking lie happen? I don't care if you lied. I just wanted proof what I was doing for the last 15 years actually wasn't bullshit. I felt tears drop down my cheeks and see sparks on my hands. Dad, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can be a man that lives with no regret like you. I eventually picked myself up off the floor and walked near the G5 base to train. When I got there, Smoker had me and Tashigi head out with him to handle an incident with a villain. Apparently, he captured a high schooler and was holding him hostage with none of the pros being able to do anything. On the scene, I noticed it was the same villain All Might had. But what shocked me the most was Kachin in the center begging for someone to save him. Smoker, sir, how are we going to take the kid out? Best bet would be to find a way to draw the villain's attention. Midoriya, stay back. Smoker didn't even have the time to tell me what to do as I ran in ready to save Kachin. Midoriya, the sludge villain, looked over to me and began panicking. Get back, kid. I ain't messing with you. I'll snap this kid's neck. I ignored him and kept running. Die. He sent a tendril of sludge at me to pivot my foot. Shave. I disappeared before standing above him, pulling my leg back. Tempest kick. I sliced right through the sludge villain before taking Kachin out and pulling him away. You brat. The sludge villain immediately sent tendrils at me for them to be calmly avoided thanks to observation hockey. What are you, kid? I used shave again to get up and personal with him to coat my knuckles in armament. I'm the kid that's gonna end your reign of crime. I punched him into a wall to splatter him again. When everything calmed down, the pros immediately rushed me and tried to scold me for my actions. I sat there listening to them say how I should have never done what I did and that I'd be arrested the next time something like that happens for an hour before finally getting myself to be free and walk back near the G5 base. That was reckless, kid. If one of the cameras got a good recording of that, you could be found out. I know. I couldn't take it. It was one thing that the thing attacked me, but Kachin was innocent and shouldn't have been. Smoker let out a sigh before patting my head. I wouldn't give you an A+4 today, but maybe a B at best. You messed up at some points, but you didn't completely blow your cover. I started to laugh a bit before All Might stood in front of the entrance to the Marine base. Smoker, my friend, might I speak to your protege there alone for a moment? He shrugged before having Tashigi walk into the base with him. So, what did you want to talk about, sir? *ahem**, I'd like to apologize for my comment earlier. From what you've shown me today, you not only have the makings to be a hero, but a great one at that. The pro shrank down in a puff of smoke for a skinny man that looked like a skeleton. What the? To make matters simply, young man, I obtained an injury some time back that limited my powers to being used only 3 hours in a day. As such, I have been searching for someone to inherit my quirk. You see, this power I have wasn't one I was born with, it was given to me. He began explaining about his quirk called One for All and how he's been looking for the 9th successor. Today you've proven to me that you are worthy of my quirk. So what do you say, Izuku Midoriya? Will you become the next holder of OFA? I felt tears coming in my eyes before smiling with a nod. I will. Secrets out. Third-person POV. On a ship at the southern port of Japan, several people stop and notice a man wearing a marine uniform get off. So the woman's name is Inko Midoriya and the kid's name is Izuku Midoriya. He glared at the papers in his hand with 2 photo images of the two. So the man had a kid, huh? Then I guess it's my job to end what I started with your father, boy. Fleet Admiral, sir. A marine came up in front of the man to salute. We have the home of the woman in question in lockdown. The second she comes home, we can arrest her. Good. I'll make sure she pays a price for letting that family lineage go on. Sir, should I inform the members of G5 about what's happening? Keep this in the dark. I'd rather handle this without anyone extra needing to find out. The papers in the man's hands began to burn up to cinders before adding one final note. Besides, I have a feeling Smoker knew about this and willingly kept his identity hidden. I'm heading to UA for the kid alone. Inform me when you have the woman in custody. Yes, sir. You both thought you were clever, didn't you? Well, hide and seek is over, son of Fire Fist. This time, I'll make sure Roger's lineage is ended. Izuku POV. It's been 11 months since All Might gave me his quirk. In that time, I was asked by him to do some personal training to become stronger for One for All by cleaning Dagoba Municipal Beach. I unfortunately had to cut my training with Smokey and Tashigi until I fulfilled the requirements in All Might's case, but I felt it after the entrance exams. The part though that really sucked was the fact Smoker asked me to pretend I was extremely weak with training and the quirk like a newbie. This sadly ended up making me have to willingly break my bones by voluntarily going over my limit, and trust me when I say that it hurt. I was however able to at least get into my dream school as well as make some nice friends in the process. In a way of speaking, I was happy. Today for hero training, we were told that it was going to be off at a special facility. We all boarded the bus with me sitting next to my classmates Azui and Kirishima. The drive was somewhat quiet until Azui spoke up. "Midoriya, can I ask you a question?" "Sure, Azui, what's up?" She stared at me blankly before replying. "Call me Tsu." "Oh, okay, Tsu. What did you want to ask? Are you related to Portgus D. Ace by any chance?" "How did she know?" No. Why?" "Well, the two of you have a lot alike, like those freckles on your faces. You act somewhat like some information on him says. You also fall asleep while you're eating." "Ah, crap. That is impossible, Azui. Portgus D. Ace died before he could have any children. If he was the Fire Fist's son, Midoriya would have been killed a long time ago." I guess you're right, Ida. I was just curious." "Sorry, Midoriya Ribbit. Why, you don't have to apologize. It was an honest mistake. Besides, it's not like I'm mad you thought that." I started laughing and trying to make it seem like nothing before the bus stopped. "We're here. Get off." We followed Mr. Aizawa's order for our classmates to pile off the bus one by one. While we went up to listen to the Space Hero 13 statement of how the day was going to be done, my mind kept going to what Tsu asked. Would they treat me different if they knew the truth? Cool. They even have fake villains here. I heard Kirishima speak for me to see a bunch of villains come out of a portal. "Those aren't fake villains, Kirishima. They're the real deal." Mr. Aizawa charged at the villains with my mind now panicking. Damn it. I started to pull out my transponder snail for Smokey to pick up, but there seemed to be interference. Someone's gotta be jamming me. Maybe if I get out of the building, I can get a signal. I turned to the exit to see a man made of mist come between us and the door. "Hello. We are the League of Villains. We've come here to kill All Might, but he seems to not be here. Was there by any chance a change in the schedule?" Dai, Kachin and Kirishima immediately came at the mist villain to miss for some reason. Before we could react, we were all swallowed in some kind of black fog the villain's body was made of. "Seems you all will be quite troublesome. Now, disperse." I was surrounded by darkness before looking down and finding myself falling into a pool of water. Crap. Is it salt water? I looked over to see Tsu and Mineta. If I use one of the 6 powers here, it'll look fishy. I also don't want to risk if this is salt water. I grit my teeth and made a choice call. I can pretend if it is salt water that I can't swim. I'm gonna have to risk it. I hit the water for me to be able to swim around. I gave a bit of relief knowing this before some villain came to attack me. "Now your chum Kid Dash." Tsu came in to kick the villain at the last minute and take me up above water and onto a boat before hopping on with Mineta. "You alright, Midoriya?" "Why yeah. Thanks for the save, Tsu." We stood in the middle of the boat looking around. From what I can tell, this is still the USJ. That means we should still be able to reunite with everyone. But what about the villains down there? They're gonna kill us. Mineta started to cry a bit before I walked around the boat. So our options are wait here and hope they don't attack, go in the water and try to outmatch them, or... I glanced down at my hand before looking at Tsu and Mineta. Damn it. Okay, I've got a plan to get out of here. But in order to do that, I need to share something with you too. What is it, Ribbit? I bet it's that you're a closet perv. I don't want to ask. No, I've been kinda holding back. Both stared at me before asking in unison. How much? A bit. To make a long story short, I was training before UA with a Marine and was taught 6 skills. One of which is called Moonwalk. I can literally walk on air with this. Tsu and Mineta were rather surprised before I grabbed both. Mineta was lugged over my shoulder while I held Tsu in one arm kinda like a princess. Midoriya, nobody will know about this. Understand, trust me. If Baby 5 knew I was holding another woman like this, she'd kill me. This never happened after we escape here. I went to the back of the boat before getting a running start to jump up above the side and begin activating one of the 6 powers. Moonwalk. Every villain down below looked as if they were amazed before I jumped up and used a bit of OFA in my legs. Tempest Kick. I sent an air pressure slash towards the water to make a small whirlpool for the villains with Mineta throwing the balls on his head. Let me guess. That was another trick of these 6 powers things. Sue asked bluntly for me to answer. That was called Tempest Kick, an ability of mine that allows my kicks to make a condensed air pressure slash. Think of it like I'm cutting the air with my leg. This didn't sit so well with my frog friend before she spoke. After this, I want to know what else you've been keeping if you have skills like these. As your friend, I feel a little untrusted if you can't say these things. I bit my lip while answering. I'm sorry, but some things I have no choice but to keep secret. Please understand that I'm not trying to do this because I don't trust you. We eventually made it back to the center of the plaza to see Mr. Aizawa being beaten down by the villain with his brain sticking out. This is bad. For once, I agreed with Mineta on this. I don't suppose those 6 power things you have can do something in this rib bit? Sadly, not really. We'll just need to wait for an opening and get Mr. Aizawa out of there. I started activating observation hockey to see where most of my class was. So 2 of each are in every zone for the most part. The rest are up above with only 1 person missing. Since none of them match Ida's presence, I'm guessing he had to have escaped. That's good. All we need to do now is hold out. Before I let it go, I felt the one villain with hands all over his body's intentions to immediately turn towards Sue. Sue, get out of the way. I pushed her out of danger before holding my fist back. Damn it, I have no choice. I coated my arm in armament hockey before pulling it back. Before my fist was about to connect, the brain villain got in the way and acted as a shield. I can tell he's stronger. I made a judgment call and decided since only Tsu and Mineta were around, I'd use my real power. Red Hawk Dash. The doors to the entrance exploded open with a face I'd wish I'd never see again walking in. So you hid yourself among the heroes of the future. Not a bad hiding spot, but your little game of hiding is over now. My blood went cold when I saw his face again. FF Fleet Admiral Ayakainu. Midoriya. My mind immediately went to the image of Dad when I was a little kid. The nightmare that happened to him. No. No, 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 no. How did he find me? Mom? Is she okay? Why did he have to come? I had to have slipped up somewhere. But when? I've been safe for years now. How could I have made such a stupid mistake? Who the hell are you? You're not an invited player in this game. Numu. Kill him. The monstrous beast came charging at Akainu for him to drop his cigar. Says the man that wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. His arm immediately turned to magma to grab the brain creature's head and immediately incinerating it. The sound of its screams echoed into the facility before the headless corpse fell to the ground with the hole from the missing head seared shut. Your next hand, freak, sir. We must leave. We are not strong enough to face off against the Fleet Admiral. Damn it. You win this round, cheater, but we'll be back. The hand villain and the black mist villain left in a portal with some of our class coming out of the other zones. Now that the unwanted pest is out of the way, I can continue with my job. Akainu turned to me before walking over with the images of Dad's death and the creature called Numu's in front of us playing on replay. I gotta run. I need to run. He'll kill me. I wanted to run, but my legs couldn't move. Damn it, legs. Move. Move. He stood in front of me to grab my neck and throw me towards the ground. Midoriya. Everyone started running towards us with the Fleet Admiral's foot being placed on my chest. What the hell do you think you're doing to our friend? Kirishima was enraged before Akainu spoke up. I'm doing my job and ridding the world of his cursed bloodline. The fuck are you talking about? Kachin shouted, confused as hell. I see. You never told them, did you? Akainu grabbed me by the neck before pulling me above the ground for everyone to hear. Tell us, boy. Who's your father? I tried to play dumb and pretend I didn't know. Hi Hisashi. Midoriya. I gasped out saying my uncle's name. You and I both know that's a lie. Portgas D. Izuku. Everyone stopped when they heard this name. About 20 years ago, your mother and father met and had you. Before his execution, you and your mother made it a mission to remain hidden the best you could. Taking her maiden name, forging documents to make it seem like your father wasn't in the picture, even going as far as pretending you don't have that quirk of yours. But I was able to find out thanks to a little red flag you made about 11 months back during that sludge villain attack. And thanks to the mistake, I had a bit of digging with DNA tests giving undeniable proof. The staff of UA and Ida ran into the USJ to hear the final statement of the Fleet Admirals. You are the son of the Fire Fist, Portgas D. Ace. Everyone went cold when they heard this. Why, you're lying. The Fire Fist never had a son. Ida shouted at the top of the facility. Then let's prove that. Akainu pointed a gun at my head with everyone panicking when he did. If this gun I shoot at you doesn't kill you, it's undeniable proof you're his son. If it blows your brains out, it's a tragedy. But you and I both know the results of this. My breathing started to increase in speed as the barrel of the gun was held right up to my temple. No, no, and oh. Bang, the sound of the gun went off with everyone turning away from me. When they looked back, what they saw was the bullet in the cement floor and my skull on fire. That power, only a Logia-type devil fruit or a quirk that was made by an interaction with an immediate devil fruit user could have done that. This alone is undeniable proof you're his son. Everyone looked at me with shock and fear before the hand of Akainu's holding the gun began to turn to magma. SS Solar Flare. I activated a personal move I made to temporarily blind Akainu and start running. I gotta get away fast. But where? Where do you think you're going? Akainu came to the side of me with his fist coated in magma. Like father, like son, I suppose. This is it. I can't run. I watched in horror as the fist that killed Dad was about to end my life too. Mom, Dad, Baby 5, Monet, Tashiji, Smoker. I'm sorry. I shut my eyes expecting the worst before I heard a shout. Texas Smash. I opened my eyes to see All Might in front of me punching Akainu a bit of a distance away. You stay the hell away from my protege, you filthy killer. You've murdered hundreds of innocents on your crusade against a hero's bloodline. Portgas D. Ace is a hero to many and only a criminal to a corrupt world government. You're more a villain than my nemesis, and you so much as look at my student wrong, I'll rip your head off with my bare hands, you filthy monster. All Might's booming voice resonates through the USJ as he lands a second punch on Akainu's jaw. The Admiral recovered fairly easily before looking at All Might. You honestly believe that? Tell me, how many pirates have killed innocent people? Can you say for a fact the families of those victims don't deserve them to die? How many villains have you put away that to some people are just doing what they deem is right? Saving that boy and calling the Fire Fist a hero is a hypocritical comment. There's no hypocrisy in my statement. Portgas Ace was a hero to many and never took the life of an innocent. You murdered him in cold blood just because of his relation to Gold Roger. You're the type of villain I wouldn't hesitate to vanquish now. Perish fiend. This next attack was the strongest one in All Might's arsenal. Rearing his right arm back and planting his foot on the ground. He uses every single muscle in his body to deliver this blow into Akainu's chest. United States of Smash! The collision of All Might's fist hitting Akainu right above the heart resonated throughout the facility as the Admiral was sent flying across the USJ facility and careening into the concrete reinforced buildings in the earthquake zone. As Akainu sat back up, he wiped blood from his mouth and ripped a piece of rebar out of his stomach with it partially melted. Was that your best shot? That's enough, Akainu. Make one more move and I'll have you demoted to seaman. Nizu shouts from the entrance. From where Izuku Midoriya is, he is under our protection, and until he does something that is deemed villainous. Merely being related to a pirate doesn't make him a criminal, pirate royalty, or anything else. The end result is simply that you cannot touch him. I will be giving a detailed debriefing to the 5 elders as well as the hero board. This type of behavior is unacceptable to anyone. This seemed to stop the fleet admiral for now before walking back towards me. You live for now, but the moment you graduate or do something that warrants your arrest, you're mine, boy. He walked away with my heart barely staying in my chest. I survived, but I could tell I lost a lot of trust by the way my classmates and teachers were looking at me. Portgas D. Izuku POV. After being brought back to UA, I was placed in the front explaining to my entire class why I decided to lie to them. I am so sorry for lying to you all. I didn't intend to mean any harm in deceiving you all, but I didn't have a choice in the matter. Choice my fucking ass. But Kugu, sit down. Aizawa, who was bandaged from head to toe basically, was rather angry before I continued. Since it doesn't matter anymore, I think it's only fair if I tell you the truth myself. As you've already been told, my father is the former 2nd Division Commander, Portgas D. Ace. When I was 4, the War of the Best happened, which cost him as well as many of his fellow comrades and Marines lives. This was arguably the worst day of my life since my father was an icon to me, an irresponsible one at that. Ida spoke under his mouth for Mr. Aizawa's capture gear to be wrapped around his neck. Did you forget about the part where Akainu nearly killed Midoriya for being part of the Fire Fist's bloodline? He slammed Ida's head on his desk before I continued. A little while after the war, a Marine came to our door and was asked by my great-grandfather Monkey D. Garp, who was a vice admiral at the time, to visit us. From what he said, my father told him about something he wanted to protect. So just like what the vice admiral did for GOLD, Roger, he sent a member of the Marines to check up on us that he trusted. This is Vice Admiral Smoker, leader of the G5 right now. Upon his request, I remained hidden, kept my mother's name, and even went so far as to lie and say I was quirkless. I hated lying, and all I could do for years was lie about who I was. It's because of my lying that you all were dragged into this, and because you were... I'm sorry. I bowed to them with none of the tension in the room letting up. So you fucking lied about being weak all this time? Kachin got out of his seat to punch me in the face. I didn't bother turning on my quirk since he had all the right to, in my opinion. You've been fucking letting me be the top dog all these years, haven't you? You know something, Bakugu's got a point. The hell, Kaminari? Jairu shouted in annoyance. I'm just saying, he's lied to everyone he's met. How are we even sure he's not lying now? He's got a point. Zero agreed with this while some of our classmates seemed really on edge with trusting me. But then again, Midoriya did save me and Mineta in the flood zone. I guess he might actually have been trying to stop himself from being caught for a reason. Sue's right, guys. Midoribro was targeted during this specifically. Can't you at least see that? There was still a lot of distrust in the air before Ida got up and walked towards me. Midoriya. I glanced up at him to see he was at ends with himself. I don't blame you for lying. To be honest, after the Fleet Admiral's attack, you had all reason to keep your identity hidden. But with that in mind, you still lied to us, which means I can't trust your words. Not yet, at least. Several other members of the class began agreeing with Ida before Uraraka stood up and shouted. Are you all insane? DKU had done nothing to deserve this. Sure, he lied. But Ida just pointed out he didn't have a choice in this. DKU even said he hated doing it but couldn't do anything else. Just stop judging him and forgive him. It may be early to, but I kinda agree with Uraraka in giving trust to Midoriya. Yaoyorozu stood up to point this out for everyone to look towards her. My family has history with the Whitebeards. My father was once saved by their captain and is in debt to them. With this in mind, I think Midoriya does at least deserve a chance to show this time he isn't lying. I'm with Yamamo on this. He doesn't seem like the type to just lie without a reason. He's too much of a pushover in a way. One by one, the few that actually were willing to trust me fully stood up. The ones that actually agreed with me were Uraraka, Kirishima, Jairu, Sue, Yaoyorozu, and Ojiro. As for the rest, they'd accept me as a classmate, but I could tell they wouldn't be able to trust me yet. In light of the situation, classes will be postponed for the next 2 weeks. Take this time to think about what happened and go from here. When you return, the UA Sports Festival will happen. Take the time to train and get stronger to shine in that. Dismissed. Everyone began pouring out with the group that trusted me remaining. Midoriya or Portgus. Whichever you prefer now. There's no difference now, so go ahead and call me what you'd wish, sir. Alright, problem child. Not wrong. I know you've been through a lot, and I don't blame you for wanting to punch yourself in the face for what's happened, but your fight has just begun. I glanced over at him with question. Thanks to the help of Vice Admiral Smoker, we were able to protect your mother as well as you for now. But the second you graduate, you'll be fair game for the Marines. So from now to that moment, you need to prove to the world that what they believe of you is wrong. I won't say it will be easy. You hold within you the legacy of not only your father, but your grandfather, the late king of the pirates. This is a lot of weight to put on a 20-year-old, but you need to outshine any unease the world may have with you. If not, you'll follow your family to an early grave. I know. Thank you, sir. I started to walk out with everyone following me. Hey, Deku. Wait up. Turning around, I saw the group look at me worried. I'll be okay. That's not why we're following you, dude. I glanced at Jairu before they all started bowing. We're sorry. They spoke in unison. Why? I should be sorry for lying, but you didn't deserve what happened. The Whitebeards might have been villains in the eyes of the law, but they really weren't if you look at what they've actually done at the source. Ojiro pointed this out with a bit of empathy. They actually kept things in order before Blackbeard, Ace included. I smiled a bit before feeling tears in my eyes. Thank you. We walked out of the building for someone to charge and hug me. Izuku, are you okay? Knowing from the feeling, I could tell it was Baby 5 without needing to look up. Baby 5, enough of that. This isn't a time for your public display. I'm just making sure my fiancé is okay. Tashigi, is that wrong? I was immediately pulled out of her chest and held onto by Monet. Tashigi told us what happened. Are you going to be all right? Yeah. Is Mom okay though? She's fine. Smoker came over with Mom beside him, looking a little shaken up. Akainu's men tried to arrest her, with a lot of favors being needed from Nizu to place her under Yue's protection. You owe me, kid. Thank you. I bowed to my mentor before hearing Kirishima shout in excitement. You're Vice Admiral Smoker, also known as the White Chase. You're so manly, bro. I take it these are your classmates? Some of them. I began explaining the situation with who everyone was and what happened during the USJ. For now, everyone was safe, but the uphill battle was going to happen now. So you've got some time off. Then I think you should take a few days to join me on a little trip. You kids can follow along too. I think it'll help you understand where Izuku is coming from. Wait, where are we going, sir? You'll see when we get on the ship. I was trying to follow him before looking at my classmates. Since he opened the offer, do you all want to join us? Sure. Let me just call my family and tell them. My parents are out of town for a week, so okay? Fine by me. My parents are home, so my siblings shouldn't have a problem with having someone to watch them ribbit. Let me just clear it with my folks. One by one, everyone was able to come with us to head to the harbor and take a marine ship out to sea. From the direction I was seeing, we were heading to the Grand Line. 2 days later, third-person POV. After a few days on the sea, Izuku and the Marines began explaining to his classmates about what the young Fire Fist's been doing with his life for the last 15 years. He mentioned how Smoker has taught him the 6 powers, with going into more detail for Tsu what they were in total. He also explained Haki to have some examples with Kirishima and him going toe-to-toe with dodging a large portion of his attacks and tanking others without breaking a sweat. Finally, he explained his flame quirk and how it works. Soon enough, the group found themselves nearing an island. All right, we're here. Izuku looked at the island to see it was rather small. What is this place? Somewhere you and Inko should have gone a long time ago. Inko knew where it was to hand Izuku some flowers while she carried a bottle of sake. As they walked up, Ochako and Momo tried to follow, with Tashigi stopping them. What is this place? The final resting place of several pirates in the Whitebeards, including their former captain Edward Newgate and Portgus D. Ace. Izuku and Inko never got to see Ace's grave to say goodbye. So for about 16 years, they've had to keep the final words they wanted to say to him inside out of fear of being caught. Everyone's heads went down before Baby 5 spoke up while putting out a cigarette bud. It's not right. Izuku should have been able to say what he needed to at his father's burial, not wait over a decade and a half just to finally see it. Not like he had a choice. Monet felt just as ashamed in letting this be prolonged, but held her tongue knowing this wasn't her place. So Deku's never been to see his dad's grave once till now? That's just wrong. Smoker finished her sentence for the brunette to nod. I don't blame you for thinking that, kid, but I asked them not to for their own safety. Wrong or not, these words are needed to be passed by the two. Glancing over, Smoker noticed another boat docked with the Revolutionary Army's flag. Something tells me his uncle's here, with Izuku and Inko. The two walked up the pathway silently with their heads down, feeling somewhat ashamed they had to wait for so long to visit Ace's gravestone. As they walked up to it, they noticed a man standing beside it. I'm sorry it's been a while since I've seen your grave, Ace, but I hope you're not mad. The man heard their footsteps to turn back and smile. Well, hello there. I didn't expect there to be more people visiting today. Sorry if we're intruding, Inko said while walking up to the grave. Oh no, you're not intruding. The mother placed 4 sake cups down, with one being pushed near the foot of Ace's marker. She poured the sake in her hands into the cups before passing one to Izuku and handing the other to the man. Thank you, Ace. I'm sorry that me and Izuku couldn't come any sooner. I just want you to know that we're living the best we can and that we didn't forget you. You play a big role in both of our lives, and I wished you could have seen Izuku grow up into the fine young man he is today. Tears started to fall down Inko's face as she kept speaking in hopes her former love could hear. If you're watching us from wherever you are right now, Please continue to and know that we will always love you. The three tapped the glass meant to be Ace's before drinking the contents. Ace must have been someone important to the both of you. Asterisk sniffle asterisk he was. And as someone who once loved him, I'm ashamed to not have come any sooner to visit his final resting place. Inko began to walk a bit away before glancing over at Izuku. When you're done, I'll be over here. Okay. Inko walked back a bit to give Izuku the space to talk to his father's grave. I'll give you the area, kid. I'll just be back here. Thank you. When the blonde man was far enough away to not hear Izuku, he placed the flowers on his grave and spoke. Dad, if you're listening, I don't blame you for not being around. You've always told me that life should be cherished as a human, so it's only right to stand as who you should. Izuku began crying while continuing. I want to be like you, Dad. Strong and willing to stand for what you believe in, but I'm scared. Kainu found me and Mom, and now we need to prove ourselves. I'm scared that if I don't and the Marines don't change how they see me, Mom will be pulled into this. Izuku balled his fists before shutting his eyes. Please, Dad, just let me know I'm doing what's right for both of us. A wind came through with what felt like a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Follow what you believe is right. Live with no regret. That's how everyone should live. Looking up, Izuku saw an image of his father smiling at him. Asterisk sniffle asterisk thanks, Dad. Izuku began sobbing knowing his own father was watching over him. Half an hour passes with Izuku saying to Ace's grave some of his accomplishments with some happiness before standing up and saying his goodbyes. So what was Ace to you too? The man asked for them to remain silent. When they got to the ships, Smoker and everyone was looking at them with the blonde being uneasy. Geez, this guy means business. Get what you needed done, kid. Yes, sir. Izuku helped his mother back on the ship before turning to the man. It was nice meeting you, Uncle Sabo, Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army. Amazed by what he said, Sabo tried to stop Izuku before he got on. Unfortunately, he couldn't to end up shouting to Izuku for answers. Hey, just who are you, kid? Seeing no point in hiding it anymore, Izuku went to the back of the ship before shouting back. Portgas D. Izuku, son of Fire Fist Ace. Hearing this, Sabo couldn't believe it. All these years, Ace had a son. He felt tears of joy welling up inside him before shouting back in a smile. I'll try and keep in touch. Farewell, nephew. Both smiled at each other with tears knowing this before heading their separate ways. That was the second in command to the Revolutionary Army? Momo was amazed on how Izuku knew him to question how he knows Sabo before stopping, and Izuku, looking great burden, seemed to be lifted off him. I promise I'll be strong, Dad. Just like you. Blaze of emotion. Ochako POV. I started to wake up to the crazy feeling I was rocking around on a boat. Ugh. Why do I feel so dizzy? You're not dizzy. You're feeling the ship rock. I looked to who said that to see Ms. Monet reading. Breakfast is ready upstairs. I hope you don't mind eating with G5. They can be quite the rowdy bunch. Oh yeah. I'm on a boat in the middle of the ocean. I stopped when my brain registered that actuality. Ship Urarika, dear. A boat can be on a ship, but a ship can't be on a boat. Getting up, I began heading out towards the top of the deck. There, I noticed my classmates that joined us. In the center of the deck, though, I saw Deku and Baby 5 sitting across from each other in chairs. So what's going on? Port Gaspro said something about this being training for Baby 5 or something. I'm not sure what the training is, though. Baby 5. Show me your panties. What kind of stupid training is this? Me and the rest of the girls shout as we hear this statement be said. Oh, okay. She starts standing up to lift her skirt up before Deku hits her on the head. Ow, that hurt. Let's try this again now. Baby 5. Show me your bra. There was a silence before she began to blush while replying. Well, if you want me to dash. She got another hit to the head. Just what kind of crazy training is this where Midoriya is asking Baby 5 to do these things? Training to stop her from obeying everything a man tells her to do. Kyoka. Tashigi came over to watch the training as well while explaining what it technically was. When she was a child, Baby 5 apparently was abandoned by her mother. This gave her a somewhat strange desire to obey everything someone tells her to do, no matter how ridiculous it is, in hopes they won't abandon her as well. Due to this, She had racked up a ridiculous amount of debt equaling up to about 98 million berries, which is about 9.8 million yen, as well as being engaged 8 times. She was engaged 8 times? Sadly, Doflamingo killed all 8 of her former fiancés before we even met her. So let me get this straight. Baby 5 was actually a member of the former warlord Doflamingo's group, as well as has millions in debt along with having 8 late fiancés who were all killed by the heavenly devil himself. Just where did Midoriya find this woman, and what is his connection with her? Yamamo gave a valid point that most of us were kinda asking ourselves as well. He found her when the Marines were handling the incident at Dressrosa. Wait, does she mean that incident in the past with Doflamingo and the Straw Hats? So, what is Deku to her? My curiosity got the better of me to ask a question I probably would have been better not asking. She sees Izuku as her fiancé. What? We all shout at once while Tashigi explains. To make a long story short, the two fought during the Dressrosa incident and flashback 2 years ago, third-person POV. Izuku and Baby 5 began fighting in the middle of Dressrosa during the battle for both to go neck and neck. In it, Izuku held back from using his flames so nobody would see who he was. Arms metamorphosis. Revolver girl. Baby 5 began turning herself into a giant revolver for Izuku to duck under and get below her. Sorry, miss, but I don't have time to play games and I need to take this seriously. When he said this, Baby 5's heart began to flutter uncontrollably on how she took the wording extremely wrong. He wants to take me seriously? What does he mean by that? She quickly evaded an attack by him for the weapon fruit wielder to transform her body again to have her leg turn into a blade. Izuku grabbed a hold and kept her from moving anywhere. Keep fighting as hard as you will. I won't give up until I have you taken down. Taken down? Does that mean he wants to? But I can't until I marry. Baby 5 jumped away with Izuku activating armament hockey. Tell me something. Do you mean what you say? What? Do you mean in all honesty that you'll take me down and treat me seriously? What kind of stupid question is that? Of course I'll take you seriously. Then I accept your marriage offer. Baby 5 stopped fighting to immediately hug Izuku. Wait. The hell went on Tio make her think I was asking her Tio marry her? Back to present Ochako POV. The hell kind of marriage proposal did she think that was? We all shouted in annoyance before seeing the two get up and start walking towards us. So Izuku, would you still want to see? Baby 5 started lifting her skirt up a bit before me. Jairu, Yamamo, Sue and Tashigi shouted in unison. Is your head even screwed on straight? Why don't we wait for that answer until after breakfast? I'd rather have some food in me before I see something like that, right? We started walking into the dining area to see Vice Admiral Smoker talking to Mrs. Midoriya. Hey mom. Hey Smokey, can't you at least call me by my actual name for once, kid? And miss out on making a joke with you? Like that'll ever happen. The Vice Admiral rolled his eyes as Deku sat down and ate from the eggs and toast that were being served. So what's our plan going forward, sir? I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is the Marines are stationing a pro and a Marine to watch over you. We also found out that your home was attacked when we were away burning almost everything. Are you serious? They burned our home? I had important medical books in there. Monet, Deku, and Baby 5 were beyond mad at this, with Smoker continuing. Good news. I'm the Marine they had put here thanks to your great-grandfather, former Vice Admiral Garp. The pro is also the #2 hero Endeavor that had offered to let you, your mother, Monet, and Baby 5 stay with him until the apartment is repaired in the next few weeks. Till then, you will be living at the Todoroki residence. Don't you have a friend that's Endeavor's daughter? Mrs. Midoriya asked for us to remember our classmate Shoko Todoroki. I wonder what she thinks of you? To be honest, Todoroki keeps to herself even among the girls. So it's not just me that thinks she's kinda a loner. You're not wrong there, Kirishima Ribbit. Be that as it may, you'll be training with Endeavor in regards to mastering your flame quirk. Being on his home estate is enough to help with that. Smoker let a breath of smoke out of his mouth before continuing. I also heard a rumor that the Marines will try and assess where you are strength-wise during the sports festival, so you better be ready for a fight. Understood, sir. We started to sit down and start talking before Deku suddenly fell asleep while eating. He got up shortly after to look around at us before scarfing his food down again to annoy us all. To think Deku's the son of Portgas D. Ace. I wonder how strong he really is if he was gonna get serious. Few hours later at the Todoroki residence, Third-person POV. Shoko, the Vice Admiral is gonna be here any minute with that family we're gonna take care of. Are the guest beds ready? A woman with white hair and small bits of red in it asked for a girl with white and red hair to reply. They are Fuyumi. Shoko walked out to see her father sitting at the table reading a report. Doing research on Midoriya, or port gas I should say. The boy has a unique ability as well as a fire quirk. It might help to know a bit about how it works. Perhaps he could help in your training if you're interested. And why would I care to use your power? The dual hair-colored teen walked out of the room with Endeavor giving a sigh of frustration. Unknown to the world due to fear of scrutiny, the Todoroki family has had troubles as far back since the family's mother Rei Todoroki had been sold off by her family in a quirk marriage. Things only got progressively worse to the point the family is hardly even a family, with most of the children all hating their father and their mother unfortunately being committed to a psyche ward when she poured hot water on Shoko's eye to leave a large scar. A knock was heard for Endeavor to get up. That must be them. Walking to the front, the flame hero was met with the sight of the group of Izuku, his friends, Smoker, Tashigi, and the Midoriya residents. Vice Admiral Smoker, it's nice of you to make the trip all the way here. Endeavor turned to look down at Izuku next. You must be Portgas D, Ace's son. Yes, sir. I'm Izuku Midoriya. It's nice to meet you. Izuku bowed for Endeavor to let them in. From what I'm told, you were found out by the Fleet Admiral, correct? Izuku nodded as they kept moving into the residence. I saw your father when he died. It should have never happened. What do you mean by that? The pro looked directly at Izuku before answering. I don't think how the Marines handled that incident was right. Ace didn't deserve to die on a floor like that. I can give you a million reasons with each and every one of them sounding right theoretically, but realistically there is zero. No child deserves to watch their father die. Izuku stood there somewhat surprised hearing this from Endeavor of all people. Wow. I didn't expect that from you. I'm a father, so seeing what happened and hearing why I'm going to UA makes me somewhat sick to my stomach. I'd hate to cut this little conversation short, but I'd like to help point out why I asked for Izuku to stay specifically here. Smoker butted in for the flame hero to bring the group out towards the open area of the estate. Since I can't help with fire quirks without much information, I'd like to see what you can do in a fight with your quirk. Walking into the open area, Endeavor began activating his quirk to light his facial hair on fire. So to get a base understanding where you are to make a guideline where to go, we're going to fight. No. Everyone looked over to see Shoko leaning against the house and walking over. I'm facing him. Shoko, please dash. I don't care what you think. I'm going to be the one fighting Midoriya to prove I'm the stronger of the two. Seeing there was no fighting it, Endeavor looked at Izuku. Do you mind? As long as we can start somewhere, let's go. Endeavor walked to the side with Shoko and Izuku preparing to face one another. If I remember correctly, you have a quirk that gives you the ability to use fire and ice. I'm kinda interested to see how I hold up to you. Begin! Endeavor shouted for Shoko to send a wave of ice to Izuku. Alright, let's get this going. Izuku used his flame powers to turn his right hand into fire. Fire Fist. In one shot, he melted the ice and cleared a passage to have both see each other. Not bad. You have any other tricks? This somewhat irritated the dual hair-colored teen a bit to send another wave of ice. Izuku jumped up with his fire to send a small bit of sparks towards Shoko. Firefly. As defense, Shoko made a glacier that melted right away. Quick to react. You're really amazing, Todoroki. As the two fought, Fuyumi came out with some drinks to see the fight happening. What's going on? Shoko wanted to fight Midoriya and I'm gauging where he is and giving my opinion where to start. From what I'm seeing though, I can tell where a fatal flaw of his is. Tashigi heard this to look over towards the pro. What is it? His style. He's trying too hard to imitate his father's. The group continued to watch to notice similarities with Izuku's fighting style and the late Fire Fists. Saint Elmo's Fire. Izuku shot 2 spears of fire for Shoko to block. However, she didn't see the flame quirk user come near her with his fist turned to flames directly at her face inches away. I guess this is my win, Todoroki. Alright, let's call it there. Endeavor walked over for Izuku to turn his hand back to normal and smile at Shoko. I think I have a good idea where to go with you from here on Midoriya. Shoko, I'd also like you to help with training as well. Perhaps you can learn a thing or two. Pass. Shoko ignored both and walked inside with no interest on doing anything of the sorts. I guess it's understandable. Midoriya, I'd like to spend the time we have making a style made specifically for you. What do you mean? You've been copying how your father would use his powers, haven't you? Izuku nodded for Endeavor to continue. That is where there's a flaw. Though it's respectful why you wish to keep your father's fighting style alive, you and him are far from the same. Tying yourself down with using his style is actually making you weaker. Your ability with your flames outclasses him and could be used more uniquely than you think. That's why from here to the sports festival, I'd like you to make a fighting style unique to you for mine and your father's skill set. Izuku didn't understand why his father's technique was holding him back, but trusted the pro's personal wisdom. Okay, with that said, we're gonna start heading out to bring these 6 back home. If there's anything you want to know later, please ask Endeavor. Understood. Catch you later, Deku. Everyone began waving to Izuku as they left with him, smiling a bit knowing he wasn't completely distrusted by his friends. Fuyumi started to get up and stretch a bit. I should probably start on lunch. I'll join you. If you'd like, I can help too. Inko and Baby 5 went with the Todoroki sibling into the kitchen to start making food with Monet getting up as well. I'll be heading to the hospital to see if I can get the duplicates of some files that were in the apartment when it caught fire. I'll be home before dinner. Once Endeavor and Izuku were alone, the face of the pro began to lose most of its seriousness. Midoriya, I'd like your assistance in something. It regards Shoko. Later that night. What the? Izuku found himself in a bit of confusion as he was placed in not the guest room, but Shoko's room out of all places. Why am I sharing a room? Sorry. We didn't expect more than your mom and you, so you're going to have to share with Shoko. For rooms, Izuku couldn't actually fight since Monet and Baby 5 were sharing one in the guest room and his mother was sleeping in Fuyumi's room. I can ask someone else to switch if you want. It's fine as long as Todoroki doesn't mind it. Shoko gave no response to this, with the two considering this as an okay for them. All right, I'll see you all in the morning. The door shut for a silence to be felt in the room. I guess I'll start going to sleep. Izuku went into the spare futon in the room with Shoko going into hers. Good night, Todoroki. She didn't respond, with only one set of words coming out of her mouth. What's it like being Fire Fist's son? What type of father was he? Izuku didn't know how to respond to this as he gave the best answer he could. I can barely remember much about my father before seeing that. All the time I knew him, he smiled and told me to always do what I think is right. He never took his life for granted and did things he believed was right as a way to follow his own teachings. I thought growing up he was so amazing. Izuku started to cry a bit before getting up to grab his father's hat out of his bag and placing it on the table. Out in the open. I just wish he was able to watch me grow up with satisfaction. I'm sorry I asked. It's fine. I will continue doing what I think is right as a way to honor my father's memory. That's unfortunately the only thing I can do to hold on to him and keep what he held to heart in mine. Izuku got back under the covers before starting to go to sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep now. Good night. Izuku didn't know it, but his words made Shoko think of her own mother to feel some remorse. Would Mom have been happy with what road I chose? She placed her hand over her left eye and began falling asleep after. Dark finds. Izuku POV. The day of the sports festival finally came with the time I had training with Endeavor somewhat worthwhile. From what I've been taught by him, mixing my father's skills with his helped balance out some major fighting flaws between the two, as he put it. Before the event though, All Might called me to speak with him away from everyone. I felt uneasy since I haven't talked to him so much since the USJ. I hope he's not angry with me for hiding it. I opened the door to the room we were going to talk in for him to be in his smaller form sitting in a chair. You wanted to see me, sir? Come sit down, young Midoriya. I want to discuss some things with you. I shut the door and sat in a seat across from him. I felt nervous before All Might started to speak. First and foremost, I want you to know I'm not mad you kept being Podcast D. Ace's son from me. Knowing how desperately the world government wanted Roger dead as well as any of his lineage, it's apparent to see why you did it. Thank you, sir. I felt a weight of relief knowing he wasn't against it. To be completely honest, I actually hold Ace and Roger in high standards since I was actually part of the Roger Pirates some time back. I did a spit take realizing this to flip. You were part of the Roger Pirates? Yep. Best few years of my life were sailing under his flag. So you knew my grandfather? Yes. Hearing someone who actually knew of GOLD Roger personally made me really happy. What was he like? Roger was a unique man. He always did what he felt he should do. Sometimes this would help avoid trouble, but trouble constantly found us. The man was proud to be who he was though and lived his days to the fullest. I could see the happiness in All Might's eyes to continue to ask him about my grandfather. Odd question, but how did the Marines capture someone like him? They didn't. Roger turned himself in. I was a little shocked by this comment. Roger, when he was reaching his final few years, was told by a doctor that he had an incurable disease that was going to kill him. He already accomplished what he wanted to in life, and as such, he'd rather have gone out with a bang the way he did as opposed to going out on a bed withering away. He caused his fair share of trouble wanting the adventure he does, but he truly was a respectable man. Did you ever meet my father when he was alive? Few times. He was more trying to get info on Whitebeard since he wanted to grow stronger, and again when he was tracking down Marshal Teach. Blackbeard. I started to clench my hands in anger hearing his name before All Might got up to pat my hand. Trust me when I say going after him is a bad idea. This may sound wrong coming from me, but put him out of your mind and let someone else stop him. You already have a Kainu coming for your head. You don't need Blackbeard. I knew he was right, but another thought came to my mind. All Might. You knew a lot of things traveling with my grandfather, right? You wouldn't happen to know what the One Piece is or the Will of D. Would you? Perhaps, but the information is only worthwhile for what you make of it. Look into your heart and you'll know what it is. That is arguably the most corny thing I've ever heard, sir. I guess it somewhat is. We both laughed before he allowed me to leave and head towards my class. As I entered in, the air was severely thick with almost everyone staring daggers at me. Understandable why for most, since I did kinda lie to them all. Shortly after coming in, Todoroki walked over to me with her eyes staring right at me. Portgas, today I will defeat you. This somewhat was weird to hear from her, but I wasn't all that shocked from what Endeavor told me about her past. Todoroki, we're here as friends, not enemies. We might be classmates, but we're all targeting the same thing on the field. She walked away with us being called shortly after to avoid me getting the chance to even talk to her about this. I guess this'll be something to deal with later. On the field, Monet POV. Alright boys and girls, let's make some noise. The crowd burst into excitement from inside the stadium as the students came in. I'm Present Mike, and up here I've got my buddy Eraserhead to give commentary. Does he always yell? He has a microphone on himself often. So wouldn't he have interference by now or something? I questioned before a strange interference came over the speakers for it to answer my question. Should have guessed this would happen. Coming in now is the class you've all been interested in. They've survived a villain attack and a run-in with the Fleet Admiral himself. Class 1A. Teach crowd dulled a bit with some panicking. Isn't that the son of Fire Fist? Some spoke out after seeing Izuku with his father's hat on. Doesn't that also mean he's related to Gold Roger? This is getting really scary, man. Filthy cowards. How dare they insult Izuku like this? Baby 5 was ready to turn her arm into a weapon to fight. Wouldn't end well for Izuku if you fought. My best suggestion is just let it go and let Izuku show them wrong. She glared at the man again with me telling her again. If you pick a fight in Izuku's name, it will possibly end with this being looked at as an act of aggression by him. Back off or Izuku pays the price. Hearing that Izuku would have the death sentence he's on now sped up, Baby 5 backed off for us to listen to the ash blonde boy I think was named Bakugu speak up and claim he was gonna win first. Monet. I looked towards Smoker for him to light a cigar while replying. Why don't you go and get something to snack on for all of us? My treat. He handed over some cash for me to stand and head out. Once I got out of the crowd, I started walking to the vendor section to see what they had. Perhaps something sweet will help pull Baby 5's mind off of what had happened. I'm certain Tashiji is just as angry. I began ordering a few sweets, some comfort food and soft drinks before bumping into a certain blonde pro hero. Would you care for some assistance, miss? No thank you, All Might. But I would like to have a word with you in regards to Izuku if you have the time. He seemed surprised before offering me to head towards an empty stairwell. There, I placed the snacks and everything on the side while we talked. What is it you wish to know about one of my students? You can drop the act, All Might. I know what you really look like from coming to see Izuku train with you every now and again. He accepted this to poof back into his normal form. Just who are you and what do you want to discuss? My name is Monet. We've not spoken, but we have seen each other once or twice for a few moments. Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing you at Dagoba with that other woman dressed like a French maid as well as after the USJ attack. Good. Now I'd like to tell you a few things that are making me question some issues. Since Izuku can't go to a normal doctor, I have taken care of his medical aspects for a while. Upon looking into some recent blood work a month back, I discovered some abnormalities with his past work that doesn't make sense. He didn't understand it for me to explain it in a simple way. In the body, from what I've seen, a person that holds a quirk will have a unique quirk enzyme in them. This enzyme is, for the most part, a combination of the mother's and the father's in a specific way. Since Roger had a fatal illness, I take blood samples from Izuku a few months regularly to avoid an issue of it showing up, as well as to research the D family's DNA. Upon this, I have discovered two completely different enzymes present in Izuku's blood. One was for his flame quirk, which I was already aware of. The second was a special and rather odd quirk enzyme. Unsure about it, I did some thinking, and the only way this could be possible is if he had two different quirks. He avoided contact with my eyes while trying to lie. That would be impossible. Do you honestly think that? He ignored me for my explanation to go on. Since this didn't make sense to me, I decided to do some research into the only possible way this could make sense. In short, I tested your blood and found similar quirk enzymes in it in smaller quantities. He knew he was in the hot seat for me to give my final prognosis. I don't know how, but you transferred your own quirk to Izuku, didn't you? He looked around as if he was trying to make sure we didn't have any onlookers before replying. I need you to keep this a secret. Yes, I did. I believed young young Portgas a true hero. As such, I wanted to give him my quirk as a way to help someone who had no chance. Or at least, who I believed had no chance. I looked away in shame, knowing what he meant. You have to swear to me that you will not tell anyone about what you've heard today. Please, the secret's safe with me. I just wanted to know if what happened to Izuku was your doing or someone else's. From what I've also learned, devil fruits force the body to hold a similar enzyme, so I was questioning this as another theory. I grabbed the snacks and began heading towards the stands once more. Oh, and by the way, Izuku was probably one of your wiser choices to inherit the quirk, since I've tested and discovered having more than one quirk in the body is similar to if a person would eat more than one devil fruit. What do you mean by young Portgas was the smarter one? Let's just say Izuku being related to Gold Roger isn't the only reason why the Marines are uneasy with him living. I walked away with this comment being the last I said to All Might. Passing a screen, I watched Izuku use his flame powers to defeat a gigantic robot in a single punch. Child's play. I continued on while thinking of my findings. From what I've found out, the bodies of the family of D are more powerful and durable than most others. At least that seems to be the case with Izuku. If I were to run tests on samples of blood from other members of the D family, then that would solidify my belief. Right now, though, the only members of the D family I could pull from for proof that I'm aware of are the Monkey D family, Law, and Blackbeard. Sometimes I wish it would be easier to test the blood of these people to find out the truth. I glanced up to see a strange figure that seemed familiar to me. I followed the person to see them stop in an empty hallway. He pulled out a transponder snail to speak to someone. You find him, Burgess? Yeah, boss. He's a first year. The voice began laughing for the person to, without a doubt, be the man Izuku hates arguably the most in the world. Marshall D. Teach. Grab him when you get the chance. That might be harder than we think. I'm not the only one here looking for the kid. I heard this to listen closer. CP0 is here, and I doubt this isn't a coincidence. CP0 is here? I overheard this to shake in fear. This is bad. This is really bad. Unbelievable, folks. Porgas has gotten to the front of the pack and surpassed the final obstacle. I heard the sound to immediately drop the food and run towards everyone. When I got to the stadium, I noticed a man wearing a suit bump into me to glare at me. Watch where you're going. I took a moment to see the man's face to realize he was one of the members of CP0. And my apologies. I was in a hurry. And the winner of the first event is Porgas D. Izuku. Mike shouted that Izuku won the first match, with it not being the most important thing to me right now. I stood in front of everyone with Baby 5 holding up a massive sign. Yeah. Go Izuku. Monet. Where have you been? You missed the entire first event dash. That's not important right now, Tashiji. We have a big problem on our hands. Smoker turned to me while I explained. Jesus Burgess is here as well as CP0. I just saw one of their members right now. Are you serious? Tashiji started to get up before being grabbed by Smoker. Sit down, Tashiji. You're making a scene. But Sir Dash, we knew Akainu would try something. This is just proof of that. For now, I'm guessing Blackbeard wants something to do with Izuku for us to right now focus on keeping our noses out of it. But CP0 is Dash. A group Akainu is most likely having used to make a point. He breathed out a bit of smoke while continuing. The only thing we can do right now is hope Izuku is strong enough to at least survive. For now, don't make a scene and just sit down avoiding a problem. I sat down for now, but the unsettling feeling of Izuku perhaps facing a dangerous member of CP0 or meeting Blackbeard couldn't escape from my mind. I just hope Izuku is strong enough to withstand this. Trial by combat. Izuku POV. After being told of what the next event will be, a cavalry battle with my first place mantle making me a target, I began struggling to find a partner, let alone 3 due to this. Who can I find to be a partner? I tried looking around before feeling a hand on my shoulder. Turning around, I found a girl with orange hair and green eyes smile at me. Hey, you're the Fire Fist son, right? I heard you were really strong. Any chance you want to pair up? Actually, I was looking for someone to pair with. That works out really well. Hey Deku. I looked over to see Uraraka and Yaoyorozu walk over. Want to pair up with us? You sure? We'll be targeted, and I kinda think Kachin is still really sore about me lying. It's fine, Portgas. We're willing to take on anyone if they come after us. Yaoyorozu seemed somewhat confident, with Uraraka smiling happily. Besides, it's better to team up with people you like. She seemed very considerate with a ray of light coming behind her. Okay, so let's before starting a lineup here what your quirk is, Miss. Kendo. Suka Kendo. My quirk is called Big Fist. Pretty straightforward of what it does. Kendo grew her fist to about 4 times its size as an example. My quirk allows me to increase the size of my hands and increase their destructive force. For the most part, the real issue I have is balance subtlety as a drawback. Big hands off the bat could alter your balance. Still not that bad of a downside. Thinking of what to do in regards to this, I had a plan on where to go. Okay, Kendo, you'll be the front of the horse. With your quirk, we can probably avoid fighting enemies by a frontward means. Meanwhile, Uraraka will use her quirk on Yaoyorozu and Kendo to make you both weightless, with me acting as a weight on you to keep you grounded. Yaoyorozu will also help by providing defense with her quirk, creating shields, while I handle any enemies on top through combat. I used my quirk to make my hands burst into flames. Meanwhile, somewhere in the Grand Line, third-person POV, Luffy, get in here. The sound of a woman with long orange hair shouted from inside a ship for 8 others to be in front of a TV screen. What's up, Nami? The man known as Luffy came in for the group to crowd the screen. It's not possible. A man with 3 swords and green hair looked in shock. The guy has Ace's powers and his name. Another man with blonde hair and strange eyebrows replied as well. What? What about Ace? Luffy stretched his neck up and over everyone to try and get to the screen. Chopper, get out of the way. I want to see too. Sorry. A talking reindeer with a blue nose states while moving to show Izuku on a screen with the name listed on the side. Wah! He can't be. From what we're told, he is. A guy with a long nose said. From what the school is saying, he is the son of the Fire Fist and has powers similar to the Flame Fruit. There's no denying it. A woman with long black straight hair spoke while looking up information for Luffy to start having tears in his eyes. Ace? Asterisk hic asterisk you. You had a son. He's... Asterisk sniffle asterisk I have a nephew. Luffy started bawling his eyes out while a giant robotic man gave him a tissue to blow into. To think the Fire Fist had a son. It seems rather mind-boggling. Yo ho ho ho. A talking skeleton began laughing with Luffy grabbing Nami. Nami, how far are we from UA? I need to see him. I need to meet Ace's son. We're nowhere near Japan and it would easily take a week at best. For now, let's just watch the sports festival and support him from the sidelines. Alright, but after the festival we're going to Japan. Sanji, we need meat. Luffy shouted for the blonde man to walk towards a kitchen. Go Izumu. Kick their butts. His name's Izuku, you idiot. Nami, Chopper and the man with a long nose known as Usopp shouted in anger. As they sat, The woman with black hair, known as Robin, sat watching the TV to notice two faces she knew from the past. Weren't those two members of the Don Quixote family? As everyone began getting ready to start, Midnight started calling time. Players, begin assuming a starting formation. As she spoke, a man wearing a white suit and sporting a top hat walked into the arena and onto the stadium. "It looks like we've got someone that was lost here," Mike shouted for the man to show his face to everyone. "Oh shit," Izuku spoke with fear. "What's wrong?" Momo asked for her to see her friend go pale. "That man. He's part of Cipher Pole Number 0, a special group that is precise and deadly working for the world government." "Wait, but what's someone like that doing here?" Ochako freaked hearing. "I hate to say it, but we're about to find out." The man sent a bird perched on his shoulder up to the teleprompter booth holding a message in his coat. "Sir, we need you to leave the field at once. This is an event for students of UA. I'm here under orders from the world government. As part of an assessment for Portgas D. Izuku, I need to determine how strong he is so that if by some chance he does go rogue on us, we can handle him the swiftest and safest measures." The onlookers gave a bit of murmur to themselves as Luffy spoke up from the screen he was watching on. "It's the pigeon guy. They can't do something like this, can they?" Nami questioned. "We're about to find out." A green-haired man by the name of Zoro replied. Aizawa took the mic to begin speaking. "This is ordered by the 5 elders of the world government. Because of this, we have very little room to argue. However, we would rather this match be during a time where you wouldn't intervene with an event we are using for the benefit of the students. Then why don't I make things interesting?" The major point value of his team is consisting of the Fire Fist Sun's points. So we'll have a one-on-one match until one of us can't continue anymore. If he wins, his entire team advances to the final event. If he loses, only he is eliminated. The member of CP0 looked at Izuku. "Is that all right with you? I know for a fact this is a trap, but since I can't really go against the world government right now." "All right." Izuku got off of his team and unzipped his jacket to show his undershirt. "Wait, you know this is a ploy by Akainu. Why are you allowing yourself to be dragged into this?" Momo questioned for Izuku to let a deep sigh out. "Do I have much of another choice? Right now, I'm a high-class enemy of the world government. If I want them to avert from thinking that, I need to show them I'm not the enemy by playing by their rules even if it is a trap." "Well, since you're fine with it then." Midnight stopped for a moment before assessing the situation to explain it. "Due to unforeseen incidents, we will be changing some things around. Before the cavalry battle, we will have a match held in part by the world government." "You heard that, folks. A fight between the grandson of the world's most notorious criminal and a member of the strong arm of the law." A few minutes were taken to clear the area with the classes entering into the stands. As they did, the students of Class A noticed Baby 5, Monet and Tashigi sitting where they would be. "Tashigi, did you have any idea Akainu would do something like this?" "Sorry, Kyoka. By the time we knew, there was nothing that could be done. But I'm concerned personally about who he's facing." "Who is this pigeon guy anyway?" Kirishima asked. "Rob Lucci, a dangerous member of the Cipher Paul." Everyone looked up to see Sabo leaning over the railing. "Who the fuck are you?" "My apologies for not introducing myself. I'm Dash, Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army Sabo, aka the new wielder of the Flame Fruit." Itsuka jumped out of her seat to start shaking the revolutionary's hand. "I am such a huge fan of yours. Please, if there's anything I can do to help, just say the word." She continually shook his hand for Sabo to back away a bit. "Maybe supporting my nephew is enough." Realizing what she was doing, Itsuka backed off a bit with a blush. Sorry. I just think Fire Fist Ace was an amazing person. The war of the best should have never happened in my eyes, and it only showed the greatness that was the Whitebeards through and through." "It's fine. Why don't you sit with us and cheer Izuku on?" The orange-haired girl blushed while answering. "I'd like that." With everyone but Midnight off the field for them to fight, Izuku began stretching. "You're Rob Lucci of CP0 if I remember correctly. I heard you're good at your job. I feel a little honored to have the likes of you come after me." "Why, thank you." Lucci smiled at Izuku before pulling his coat off. "As a way to avoid danger that would be wrong for children to see, I'll be monitoring the match." Midnight spoke while lifting her whip into the air before bringing it down. "Begin." Right off the bat, Izuku came charging at Lucci with his hand turning to flames. Fire fist, shave. Lucci avoided the attack to get right behind Izuku. Tempest kick. He let loose a slash of wind to force Izuku away while he made a ball of flames. Jet burn. Using the techniques he learned from Endeavor, Izuku learned different ways to make his quirk more powerful. Lucci avoided the attack to go directly at Izuku with his index finger pointed outward. Finger pistol. Iron body. A small wind pressure was heard as Lucci's finger came directly at Izuku's chest where his heart was. Oh snap folks. These two can take this from 0 to 100 in no time. Mike shouted with the two pulling away from one another. I gotta admit, the skills of the 6 powers aren't wasted on the likes of you. I guess that Vice Admiral you learned them from did something right. Looking down at his shirt, Izuku noticed where the tear was to solidify his belief. This was a ploy by Akainu to kill me all along. Can't say I'm shocked. So why don't you show off your devil fruit? Heh, shouldn't be surprised you know about that. I guess I can show you what I can do. Wait, he ate a devil fruit? Kyoka questioned for Tashigi to nod. The group saw Lucci transform from the twig and built body of his into a giant monstrosity of a human-animal hybrid. He ate a Zoan type? Momo's eyes widened with Tashigi pointing out what type it was. Cat fruit. Leopard model. Right now, Izuku is facing an insane murderer with the powers of an apex predator. Baby 5 began shaking hearing this to watch with worry. Right off the bat, Lucci came charging at Izuku too fast for him to see and have a finger go directly into his torso. Those who knew what happened went pale knowing the young fire fist was pierced. He began to cough up blood with Lucci pulling away to knee Izuku into a wall. Unbelievable ladies and gents. Porges was kicked at distance. Let me go. I gotta help my nephew from the pigeon guy. Luffy began moving to help Izuku the best he could with his crew holding his arms so he wouldn't try to go anywhere. You can't do anything to help. For now, all we can do is help by giving moral support. Usopp spoke up angered just like Luffy but knew where he stood. Coming out of the wall, Izuku seemed to spit out blood before smiling. So this is what a fight with the best can do. I guess I should be ready for your next punch. Izuku's arms were coated with armament haki before charging at Lucci. Dual Red Hawk. Lucci avoided these with ease before going at Izuku again with a fist coated in haki as well. He was able to avoid this and counter with his own. Blow for blow the two started matching the other's attacks before Lucci jumped above with Moonwalk to give a stomping kick down at Izuku's head with haki coating his leg. This is nuts folks. Blow for blow both are matching the other. As a smoke cloud came, Izuku noticed Lucci's body change into that of a leopard and come at his shoulder to bite directly into it. This is bad. Ochako stood up in fear with Kirishima standing up as well. We gotta help Portgas bro. Don't. You'll get caught in the crossfire. Tashigi stopped them as they tried to ignore her before being stopped by her blade drawn. I don't like this as much as you, but this isn't our fight. Struggling to break free, Izuku began using his flame powers to punch Lucci with a fist coated with haki and fire. Each punch weakened the bite before finally releasing after the 4th or 5th strike. Izuku held his shoulder in pain seeing the blood drip down his arm and to the ground. I gotta be careful. He almost ripped my arm off by that. If he would have jerked in any way, his arm would have been bit through. This is the dangers he's facing right now with the world government. Sabo looked in rage with Ida speaking up. Why are they allowing this to happen? This is no different than an attack on Porges' life. This is far different than anything they should deem as an assessment. That was a blatant lie. Shoko spoke up angered greatly. All they wanted was a way to get Portgas to agree to something that they could blame on him, not standing up to the mantle of danger his father faced at his age. Lucci came at Izuku again for him to dodge. However, the green-haired boy was quickly grabbed by the marine specialist's tail by the neck and held tightly. From the moment he accepted this offer, the assassination on Porges' life was initiated. Looks like Porges is in a pinch. Will he get out? Izuku's head began to turn red a bit with his ability to breath being limited. Should we stop this right now? Enough! Stop this right now. Midnight came over to try and stop Lucci with him glaring at her. You try and stop me and you'll be an enemy of the world government. Until one of us is unable to continue, this match will progress. Do you understand me? His claws started to get coated in haki to force the R-rated hero to step down. If I don't do something fast, he's gonna snap my neck. Izuku's vision started to blur with his body falling to his knees. He fought to pull the tail off, but couldn't take the monstrous thing off his neck. Do something, Izuku. Do something. In a single moment, he took a page from Lucci's notes and coated his own teeth in hockey to bite down on his tail without the Cypher Pole agent seeing to force him to let go. Hacking a lung and struggling to get air in, Izuku began standing up again. So you pulled out of that with your life. Nicely done. Wheeze you know something, Lucci. I wanted to save this for the right time. This technique for a worthy fight. But right now I can't think of a better time. Monet's words echoed in Izuku's mind as she spoke about his second quirk. I won't ask where you obtained the second quirk to you, but I will warn you to be very cautious when you use both your powers. Though you can contain both naturally, that doesn't mean your body will sustain itself so easily if you use both at once. One for all, full cowling. Flames began to twirl around Izuku and turn from red to green. Flame commandment. The audience looked in shock as shockwaves swirled in his flames before Izuku shot directly out of them and grazed the side of Lucci's cheek to cause blood to come off it and hit the edge of the stadium. Looking over, Lucci couldn't help but smile at the increase in power. So you found a way to get stronger. The leopard man pulled the blood coming down from the cut with his thumb to lick it. Now a real fight begins. Portgas D. Izuku. Fire fists return. Third-person POV. Izuku's fists coated with green flames produced a green lighting around with the heat in the stadium rising. Man, this heat is getting crazy. Monet watched incuriously as she pulled a notepad out. Increased flame heat from at max of 1,200 degrees Celsius to unknown temperature. Green color indicates possible burning of either copper or barium. Possibility to produce blue flames, most likely with chances of producing higher temperature flames still unknown. What are you doing? Ochako questioned for Monet to continue placing notes down in the notepad. Seeing about documenting everything I can about this new power Izuku has merging his two abilities. Now the question is, how will this turn the tides and what is his limit now? Izuku stormed to Lucci with his fist in flames coated with hockey. Green Hawk. Lucci activated his hockey as well to collide and send a massive heat wave at the crowd. As they connected, the heat emanating off of Izuku's fist began to burn the leopard man's to force him to pull back. As he did, Lucci noticed his knuckles burned even through his armament hockey. Whatever he did, it increased the heat of his attacks. Lucci started to smirk as Izuku charged again with his fists attacking at increased speeds. Paper art. Lucci turned back into his human form to limit his size and avoid Izuku's attacks a little better before kneeing him in the stomach. Iron body. His leg was coated with armament hockey as well to increase the damage done. Izuku spat a bit of blood out before having Lucci's fists directly at his face. 6 King gun. A large impact was felt at his face to send him flying back a bit. Before he could hit a wall, Izuku readjusted himself to charge at Lucci one last time. Shave. Izuku used his skills with the 6 powers to constantly come at different directions at immense speeds with the power of OFA adjusting to force him to go faster. On the outside, it looked as if he was encasing Lucci in a giant tornado of fire. Now, green blow. Taking a trick from Smoker, Izuku stormed Lucci from inside the inferno to force him into a wall. Oh snap folks, Rob Lucci is down. But is he out? Izuku stood up calmly, trying to prepare himself for the inevitable retaliation. I have to admit, I've never had as much entertainment as I have now in a long time. Lucci walked out of the wall with blood dripping down his head and several burns shown on his body. Facing you truly is a fight I've wanted for a long time. Should have figured it wasn't gonna be that easy. Izuku took a fighting stance before something in his body began to feel as if it ruptured. Pwah! He immediately spat out a large amount of blood and knelt to the ground. What's happening? Kyoka jumped out of her seat seeing Izuku kneeling. It must be a rebound, Monet pointed out. I warned him if he ever combined the two to take caution. Granted, this isn't a time when he has the ability to be cautious as much. Lucci started walking towards Izuku with Baby 5 beginning to panic. He's starting back up again. Come on Izuku, you got this. Sabo watched worried for his nephew. That power you just had was dangerous to use on your body. Without a doubt, you're now feeling the rebound of what you did. Now, you're unable to fight as well. Lucci transformed back into his leopard hybrid form and sent a hockey-coated claw at Izuku. He was able to duck and avoid the attack to get some distance. I can't breathe. He struggled to gain oxygen in his body as his lungs felt like they were going to explode. So this is what the rebound of using both is. Izuku stood up with the lack of oxygen in his body, making his senses go fuzzy. You can barely stand. What makes you think you can fight me? Lucci came storming at Izuku with a punch to the gut for a crack to be heard. He moved around to roundhouse to the arm, sending Izuku into the ground. I gotta fight back. Izuku struggled to stand with both Lucci's fists coming directly at him again to the chest this time. 6 King Gun. The shot was fired at the center of his ribcage for Izuku to cough up blood. As he was about to be sent back, however, Lucci's tail wrapped around his waist to keep him in place. He shot another attack off again at Izuku's chest for another shock just as powerful as the first to happen again, with another happening directly after. The audience watched in both fear and horror as the feeling of the impacts echoed in the stadium one after the other. Stop him! Baby 5 began to let out tears seeing this happen. Somebody stop him now. We can't get involved dash. So you're willing to let Izuku die? She shouted at Tashigi, who held her head down in disgust, not wanting to see this happen. How can you just sit there and accept this is happening to Izu dash? You think I want to sit here and watch this happen? Tashigi grabbed the weapon fruit user to show she was in tears as well. This is by far the last thing I'd want to see, much less endorse as something the Marines should do. But what do you want me to do? This is from people higher than Smoker, higher than a Kainu. What can I do that doesn't force me to be court-martialed? The members of Class A watched the two argue, with Tsu noticing Monet still writing something. How are you calmly managing this happening? Monet began muttering something for the frog girl to see what she was writing. When she saw, Tsu realized Monet was actually writing "kill" over and over again to finally hear what she was saying. Kill the bastard. Kill the bastard. Kill the bastard. Kill the bastard. This stopped when they saw Lucci finally let go of Izuku with him barely conscious and on his feet. You have my respect for surviving this long. Must be that cursed blood in you that is making you still stand. A pity. The leopard man moved his hand to show his claws in the air before slamming them directly into Izuku's stomach. Those in the audience watched as the sharp claws penetrated the flame quirk user with blood dripping down Lucci's hand. Izuku! Monet, Tashigi, Baby 5, Ochako, Momo and Kyoka shouted in horror, with the green-haired boy's eyes going wide. Luffy, calm down. Let me go, Zoro. I need to help him. Let me go so I can help Ace's son. You cannot do anything where we are right now. Calm yourself. Jinbei tried to keep him back, with Nami watching in horror with her mouth covered, seeing what looked more like a public execution than a skill assessment right now. A shame that you had to die like this, boy. But you should have known this was going to be the outcome. Lucci pulled his claws out of Izuku, with holding his fists at his face one last time. 6 King Gun. Izuku was sent back into a wall, no longer moving and bleeding profoundly. I don't think he can take much more. Somebody cut the camera, please. Mike spoke with his voice shaking from watching this happen. Everyone couldn't speak, with Midnight attempting to go and help Izuku. Stay back. This is still Marine business. Are you out of your dash? Lucci glared at the R-rated hero again for the hand that was impaled into Izuku to be held up. If you truly wish to get between wiping the lineage of the worst criminal in history off this planet, then I shall deem you an accomplice and wipe you off this planet as well. The choice is yours. Knowing she couldn't stand a chance and that it wasn't certain she'd be able to stop Lucci with her quirk faster than he'd react, she had no choice but to stand back. Good. Izuku began to fade out, with his vision no longer showing what's around him. As this happened, he started to see visions of the past when he was a baby. Dad, hey Izuku, how's my handsome little man? He started reaching out to him, with the showing of his hands being that of a baby's. You want to see something cool? But you can't tell your mother. In Izuku's past, he's always loved fire for some reason. Not because it burned things or anything like that, but because he was reminded of his father and his smile. No matter what happened, the smile his father gave was always something he loved. Dad. His hand slowly moved forward for the wind to blow the hat his father had to come near him. Here, Izuku. This hat means a lot to me, so you better take care of it when I come back for it. His father's words came to his mind to reach for the hat. I need to take care of Dad's hat. Midoriya. The sound of a voice came from the stands to force everyone to look where it was coming from. At the edge near where Izuku was, Smoker stood clearly enraged. "What the hell do you think you're doing? Why are you losing to this man?" "Smoker." Lucci looked up in annoyance at the Vice Admiral. "I did not spend 15 years training you so that you could lose here and now. Get your ass up and fight, damn it. You're a fighter like every damned freak show in your family. What makes you different than them?" These words came to Izuku for him to remember why he wanted to fight and stand as a hero. He's right. Izuku gripped the wall while using his fire to sear the open wounds shut and grab his father's hat to place upon his head. "Sorry about that, Smokey. I just needed a bit of a reality check. One more time. 5 minutes is all I'm asking." Izuku's body began to ignite with green fire again for him to focus it a little more precise. "You think you can beat me? That power you're holding is dragging you to an early grave." Lucci came charging at Izuku for him to jump up and use moonwalk to maneuver and attack the leopard man in the back with a fist before jumping back to avoid an attack and repeating the process to attack his side. "You bastard, Izuku!" Inko watched in fear as her son was fighting both pain and self-destruction with every person in the stadium and watching from a screen wondering how this will play out. Having enough of standing on the sidelines, Shoko stood up and walked to the bars. "Porgas!" she shouted while barely able to hold her composure. "Win this and prove you're able to take your father's legacy, damn it. Become the next Fire Fist." Getting close and personal to Lucci, Izuku held his right fist back while condensing and increasing the heat of the flames in his arm. Hotter. The green flames began to turn turquoise with his body feeling as if the oxygen in his body was being snuffed out. Hotter. The flames slowly turned a more blue color with the feeling of his arm burning off and the intense lack of oxygen making his vision blur. Hotter. The flames finally reached a solid blue with Lucci attempting to get away from this with his tail being grabbed by Izuku's left hand. "I won't die here today, Rob Lucci. I'll live and prove to the world that I'm strong. Just like my family." In one punch, the heat from Izuku's fist went directly into Lucci's chest as he shouted into the heavens. "Blue Hawk." The force of the attack sent both Lucci and Midnight back by the shockwave with a massive explosion happening in the center of the stadium. As this happened, a dust cloud formed to cover the field and any form of showing who won. "Man, I can't see a thing." Mike shouted over the mic with everyone waiting in agony to see the final result in the air. A single fist was raised with Izuku standing tall. His shirt was tattered off to reveal a tattoo on his back to everyone present. Did he beat him? Mike was barely able to tell what happened with Lucci inside a wall slowly coming out and falling face first motionless on the ground. The winner of the fight is Porgas D. Izuku, everyone. The son of the Fire Fist has beaten the Cypher Pole member of the world government. The crowd cheered with everyone watching that supported Izuku cheering alongside. "I gotta say this. I need to prove to the world that I'm not going to lose." "Akainu!" Izuku shouted for all the cameras to focus on him. "I know you're watching. You can send Cypher Pole at me. You can send the admirals. You can even send the damned Yankos for all I care. But know this, I will become a hero and prove to the world what you think is impossible. I will prove that the Fire Fist, the man you deem is dangerous. I will prove that I will be a hero for the people. You hear me?" Akainu watched in his office with anger written on his face. "You bastard." Izuku started to fade out of consciousness with Midnight coming out of shock to see. "Get him to Recovery Girl now." Medical robots came to take Izuku towards the old nurse with the stands cheering for Izuku. They shouted his last name in chants as he stood tall even against odds and came out on top. "I'm going to make sure Izuku's okay." Monet got out of her seat and ran towards Recovery Girl's office. "Me too." Baby 5 joined with everyone else who stood by Izuku after learning the truth and Itsuka joining in. Meanwhile, Bakugu watched what happened in shock. The boy he thought was weak all these years caused this much destruction. So this is the truth of Deku's power. To think he was holding all this back. Just how fucking scared was he of being found out? In the shadows, Burgess watched in satisfaction seeing Izuku win against the CP0 agent. That kid really is something else. Maybe I'll make my debut to him now. He walked through the empty halls laughing at the thought of seeing Izuku writhe the second. He saw a member of the pirate crew whose captain put his father on death row. Cindered past. Ochako POV. And that's IT. We have our top 16. We'll have the final events matchings after lunch. We were finally free to head to lunch, with a lot of us heading right to the infirmary. Due to the fact the festival was still going on, we couldn't see Deku. When we got to the door, I felt a little uneasy seeing what I did before. Deku, please be okay. Out of the way. Hot food coming through. Baby 5 came running with a stack of meat as tall as her, with Tashigi holding a fruit stack the same height. Monet, get the door. Monet opened the door from inside with what sounded like chomping happening deeper in. They put the food inside for all of us to look inside and see Deku on a bed eating an insane amount of food. Woohoo! More meat! Asterisk snore star. Can you at least stay awake for this? Momo, Kyoka and I shouted in anger at Deku. Ha! Deku stared at us for a moment with it looking like he was confused why we were there. He quickly changed tune to begin stuffing his face again for Kirishima and Tsu to join in this time in our shouting spree. Don't just act like we're not here. Izuku, I need to take a blood sample if you don't mind. Monet held a small needle and stuff to take blood for Deku to hold his right arm out and continue eating. Sho Owawacha, wash gowing tusha fuinosh? Deku spoke with his mouth full as the quantity of the meat and fruit on the trays that just came in got lower and lower. First is our group. You got us in, and technically we're labeled as first since you had the 10 million. Todoroki's group of Kaminari, Ida, and this Class B girl Shiozaki had the official first in the cavalry battle. Bakugu's team of Shiro, Mina, and Kirishima came second. He's not happy about that. And the third place was taken by this guy Shinso from General Studies group of Aoyama, Tokoyami, and this support course girl called Hatsum. I'm guessing the next event will be a one-on-one battle or something. UA normally has that as an event where the contestants fight one another in an actual fight. He kept eating with the bandages on Deku's body, worrying me. Hey Deku, are you sure you're okay? You got hurt pretty bad during the fight you had. He stopped eating to see all of us kinda concerned for his well-being. I'm fine. Thanks to Recovery Girl and Monet. I'm as fit as can be. Monet immediately poked some bandages on his shoulders to prove him wrong. Okay, maybe I'm not at peak condition yet, but I've been through worse. Seeing his body, I could tell a large amount of the damage that was done to him hasn't recovered externally. I could only imagine what happened inside him and how bad things are for him. That being said, I want you to avoid using what you did today during the fight with the CP0 person at all costs. What I told you about your merging of those quirks being dangerous proved true. In my findings from seeing your blood, it seems that the nutrients present in your body were what you were burning in order to create the stronger flames you were. In short, you were giving yourself an adrenaline rush that if you continued to do, you could have given detrimental side effects. Wait, I don't get it. Shouldn't Porgaz's flames be able to avoid doing something this reckless? Jiru questioned with what we knew of Deku's fire. Ordinarily, yes. However, what Izuku did in the fight against Rob Lucci was something different. In order to achieve the advancement of his power, Izuku had to use his own body's nutrients to act as the kindle for the flames he was making. This left his body in the end malnourished and unable to restore itself naturally without significant nutrient consumption. In the easiest way to explain, you were literally destroying your body to win back there. If you ever do something like this again, I implore you to use some precautions such as limit your body's use of it and make sure you are at full health when you do it. If you don't, you could unintentionally send yourself to an early grave. All of us were worried before seeing Deku smile. I'll be fine. No worries. Monet immediately smacked him over the head. Do you even understand how worried we all were? Take our feelings into consideration, you jackass. Ow! Alright, I promise I'll be more careful next time. For a girl that spends most of her time in books, you actually hit kinda hard. We laughed a bit before Kendo got to a question she had. Hey Portgas, I've been meaning to ask, but why do you have the Spade Pirates flag on your back? Deku smiled before answering. Because it proves I'm inheriting my father's will. Deku pulled the top half of his uniform off to show his back to us. This Jolly Roger proves I live my life the best I can. Not every person can do this. So I wear this as proof all I can do is move forward and fight any obstacle I have in front of me. To me, this symbol is proof whenever I see it that the only way change will ever happen is if you keep progressing forward. I smiled hearing this with everyone else not far behind me. Well, I guess we should get out of your hair. Catch you later, Portgas bro. I followed Kirishima out with everyone but Todoroki joining in. From how she looked, Todoroki wanted to say something important to say to Deku. I wonder what's going on with them? Third-person POV. Most of the group left with only Tashigi, Monet, Baby 5, Shoko, and Izuku in the room. I should start heading off to give my report to Vice Admiral Smoker. Monet, I'd like you to give him your medical prognosis from what you've gathered. I can do that. The two left to leave only the three in the room. Understanding that the half and half quirk user wanted to discuss something alone, Izuku turned to Baby 5. Is there any chance you can start taking some plates out for me? I think Recovery Girl wouldn't like the fact we turned her temporary office into a mess hall. She blushed before nodding and grabbing the stack of dishes Izuku finished. When she left, Izuku stared at Shoko waiting for a response. I'm assuming you wanted to talk? Shoko remained silent, trying to think of what she would say while looking down at her left hand. Port gas, do you ever resent your father at all? Izuku shook his head side to side to answer. I could never hate my father, but there was a time when I hated the fact he wasn't here. In this time, though, I hated myself to no end. I hated the fact I was alone with nobody understanding me. He began to remember some old memories of his training with the Vice Admiral. Back when it was just me and Smokey, all I ever did was train with G5, with most not being too fond of having the grandson of the devil with them. What changed? I started to see some people come into my life and change it for the better. Amazing what people that care about you can do to your mentality. Shoko looked back down at her hand before placing it on her scar. I wish I had someone like that in my life. Shoko, you do have people like that in your life. I really don't. Yes, you do. She kept denying Izuku, thinking he didn't know anything about her. I didn't want to say anything, but your father talked to me the day we came to your home. He what? Shoko's demeanor became very agitated before Izuku explained. He told me everything about you and your mother. He even asked me if I could help you. Flashback 2 weeks ago, Izuku POV, Shoko's mother. She had a mental breakdown when she was about 6. Due to an accident with our oldest son and him dying because of my failure trying to keep him from getting hurt, I ended up secluding both Shoko and her mother in fear she might turn down the wrong path. Sadly, I couldn't notice my wife was suffering in her own way, and in an act of fear, she broke down and hurt an innocent child in all this. Endeavor pointed at his left eye while explaining. The scar on Shoko's left eye is from that night. Since then, she's never used her left side, thinking it was my fault everything happened. I don't blame her for thinking this, since it kinda is my fault she's hurting right now. So what do you want me to do? I want her to stop believing that using her fire is using my power. She's felt like she was responsible for her mother's condition all these years and is falling down a bad road. I want you to help her understand she's not at fault, and doing this won't help anyone and only hurt her more than she already is in the end. I thought maybe someone from arguably as equal of a damaged family life can relate to her. I thought about it and understood he wanted the best of you to agree. I'll see what I can do. I started walking away before Endeavor stopped me one final time. Port gas. One final thing. I turned to see him glare at me with eyes of rage. This is not me giving you the green light to date my daughter or sleep with her by any means. This is to have you help her as her friend. Understand? His hair and beard began bursting into flames to increase the temperature around us. Noted. Back to present third-person POV. Did you have to add the last part about him willing to kill you? I'll admit, I probably could have gone without pointing that out. Izuku began to laugh a bit before getting to his point. But Endeavor is genuinely trying to ask for help from me to get you to stop blaming yourself. It's not my place to say how your family should be, but I know when someone is hurting that they need help. Do you earnestly think doing what you're doing is making a difference? Shoko looked at Izuku with a bit of agitation. I know you can't forgive what happened. I know what it feels like to never forgive someone for what had happened. But suppressing your power isn't the answer. It won't change what happened, and it will never erase the bad. Take me for example. Suppressing my power didn't change the fact Akainu wants me dead. The same is with you in this situation in a way. When you accept this, you can truly make steps forward. Shoko thought about this while nodding. I guess you're right. Thanks for the talk. No worries. Now help me get out of this deathbed before we miss the announcements of what the next event will be. Shoko agreed for the two to start moving out of the infirmary and making their way down towards the stadium. Before they could get about halfway there, however, they were stopped by Burgess, who was sitting in wait for Izuku. Wee ha 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 ha. Now that was a show, kid. Hearing Burgess's laugh made Izuku's blood boil as he turned towards the member of the Blackbeard Pirates. That's a look you shoot your enemies. Careful there. I'm just here as a messenger for my boss. He pulled out a small transponder snail that was active before speaking again. You're live, Captain. A smile came on the snail's face as it began to speak. Well, well, well. Looky what we got here. Who would have thought Commander Ace had a baby boy of his own? I'm sorry, former commander. Zay ha ha ha, Blackbeard. Izuku's fists were clenched hearing the voice of the man who sold his own father out to the Marines on the line. My heart goes out for you, kid. It really does. Must have been hard growing up without your daddy. Izuku growled hearing this comment as the pirate captain kept going. I'll let you in on a little secret though. Your dad didn't have to die. What are you talking about, you bloated, conniving, insufferable piece of dash? Now. There's no need for that type of language, kiddo. You see, I wanted to fill an open slot when Crocodile left the Warlords during the time. As such, I needed to show I was on their side. My original plan was getting Straw Hat Luffy, but your dad got in the way to become the target. Shoko heard this to go pale hearing what he was saying. Deku. The teachers are gonna dash. Ochako stopped when she saw Izuku talking with a pirate and a transponder snail. Behind her was Baby 5, Monet, Momo, Itsuka and Kyoka, who noticed they walked into a really bad moment. Your dad took the fall for his baby brother. He willingly put on the chains of a dead man while Straw Hat walked away scot-free. How's that for livin' to the fullest? Blackbeard started laughing with Izuku's flames being lit ready to kill the transponder snail and Burgess, who began laughing alongside his captain. Easy there, kid. Keep in mind you're still on the Marines wanted list and the only thing keeping you safe while in this school is not killing anyone. The second you end my life here or any of your little friends here, do it in your defense. It's deemed an act of violence and that agreement is null and void. Izuku's fist immediately went into the wall right next to Burgess's head with him showing absolute anger towards the pirate for what he said. You may be safe, but you didn't have the balls to come at me when Tashigi or Smokey were around. You're nothing but a filthy coward. Alright kid, settle down. I didn't want to talk to ya to get you riled up. I wanted to give you an offer. Join my crew. You do that, and we'll cause chaos to the Marines just like when I was under your father's division in the Whitebeards. What do you say? Izuku grabbed the snail and held it up to his face to make his point come across clear. Listen here, you disgusting disgrace for a man. You can take your offer and shove it up your ass. I have no desire to join under the flag of the man who put my father in prison. It hurts that he is gone because he stood for my uncle, but I have nothing but pride knowing he wanted his family's safety over his own. Second of all, don't you ever insult my family's name by aligning yourself with my father ever again. You've proven the fact you had no care from the start to be happy with it. And third and most importantly, prepare yourself now. The second I get a Kainu and the world government off my back, I'm coming after you. He means business. Itsuka looked in fear as the man who was calm to her not so long ago looked as if he was ready to commit murder. I will hunt you down to the ends of this plane of existence, and the next if I have to make you suffer the same way my father suffered in the prison you so proudly claim you threw him in. I will destroy everything you hold the moment you became a Yanko and make your life a living hell. And when I'm done doing that, I will personally see your end myself. You hear me? This is my declaration of war to you, Marshal D. Teach. Flames that bond. Izuku POV. Ow. Tashigi. That hurts. After the incident with Burgess, I reported the conflict to Smoker with both him and Tashigi fit to be tied. You deserve it for what you did. Do you honestly think picking a fight with one of the Yankos is a smart idea in the slightest? What happens if Blackbeard tries to come after you now? To be fair, Burgess and Balkbeard started it themselves. Shoko pointed this out for it to be ignored by Tashigi. Well, it was going to happen anyway. Not like we didn't know that they were here. Monet spoke up while writing down some notes in her research book. Then again, I figured it had something to do with Izuku from the beginning why major powers were here. I'm pretty sure I saw a sweet enforcer from Big Mom's crew and one of the all-stars of Kaido's. Everything works themselves out. All we need to do is be patient. Baby 5 added while pulling out a cigarette. Hey Izuku, you mind lighting a girl? No problem. Can you three please take this seriously? Jairu and Tashigi shouted in anger while I lit the end of Baby 5's cigarette. I knew there was going to be hell to pay the second my father was discovered. Right now, all we can do is take the enemies one step at a time. For now, I don't think Blackbeard is stupid enough to try something here right now. There's people from the Marines, the Big Mom Pirates, the Beast Pirates, even some that help out the worst generation here. If he were to try something, it wouldn't end well. When you put it that way, Blackbeard would have to pick a fight with almost everyone if he were to try something here and now. Kirishima saw my logic with Uraraka adding in. Not only that, but you have the heroes and Sabo who's chief of staff for the Revolutionary Army in this too. He'd have to be really crazy if he was going to pull something here and now. The sound for the next event came with my name getting called to head over to the arena entrance. That's my cue. Wish me luck. I got out of my seat and began heading out while giving a thumbs up to everyone. Baby 5 POV. As Izuku left, something felt really off with me for a strange chill to run down my spine. What's wrong? I don't know. I just have this crazy feeling something bad is going to happen. Just warn us if you notice something strange. Okay? I nodded at Monet before the jerk blonde Izuku knew spoke up. I can't believe the fucking asshole was holding back all these years. This somewhat irritated me to speak up. Izuku didn't hold back because he wanted to. But if you ask me, someone should have smacked you into your place years ago. Then again, your head's probably so dense that you'd need a sledgehammer to just dent the skin. What was that? He glared at me in rage for it to kinda scare me to avoid his gaze and turned to Tashigi. Is she okay? She'll be fine, Kirishima. She just does this when some rather aggressive men give her a death glare. She did this with my father a few days back when she badmouthed him and made him scowl at her. Shoko reminded me of the time I called Endeavor an idiot of a pro, as well as stating his parenting skills sucked to make him glare at me. I just wanted to find Izuku after this and hide behind him after hearing about that incident. Please let this match come faster. Third-person POV. Alright boys and girls. Get ready for the first round of the third event. Can I get a yeah? The crowd shouted as Mike screamed into his microphone. On my left, we've got the son of the mighty Fire Fist himself and the man who's proved himself to be a powerhouse already. Class A's Porgas D. Izuku. And on my left, he's an up-and-coming general studies student that came into the finals somehow. Class C's Hitoshi Shinso. Izuku prepared himself to fight with little to go on in regards to what Shinso could do. So you're the son of Fire Fist? That must mean you're also the grandson of Gold Roger. That man was without a doubt a criminal in all ways. Begin. People like you should be shot dead before you have the ability to cause more problems for us all. Just like Hawase died. This statement cut into Izuku for his anger to be beyond boiling. Take that back dash, suddenly. The flame quirk user felt his body go stiff and unable to move. Shinso only smiled before opening his mouth again. Turn around and walk out of the stadium. Izuku didn't say anything, but followed what he said. What? Why am I following his orders? Izuku's body began moving for everyone in the stadium to see this happen. Come on Izuku, move, what's going on? Momo spoke up, seeing this happen for Monet to turn to another page of written down notes. Hitoshi Shinso. From what I can gather, he has some sort of quirk that allows him to control people. Thanks to this, he was able to gather some people for his group. The kid originally wanted to join the hero course from what the records said, but couldn't make the cut and went down to general. Smoker came over to sit beside Izuku's peanut gallery and breathe out some smoke. From what I can gather, all you gotta do is respond to him when his quirk's active to fall under his hypnotic suggestion. Simple to activate, but can be really hard if you don't know what his quirk is or have the ability to avoid responding. Tashigi mentioned this for Baby 5 to stand up and shout, Izuku, snap out of it. Come on. Izuku's body kept moving closer and closer to the edge of the ring with his mind now shouting in anger. Come on body, stop. He neared the edge of the ring with everything he's fought so hard against up till now to get where he is in the sports festival coming back to him. He didn't want this to be his end, but he didn't know what was possible for him to pull away from the hypnotic suggestion. As his foot was about to cross the line, 8 specters and a strange flame made themselves known to Izuku in the darkness of the opening he came out of. As if by their own will, they activated both flame and OFA in his fingers to give a max percentage attack to burn and break his right middle and index finger. This worked in taking him out of the trance and stop right before getting out of the line of bounds. He stopped, folks. Portka stopped where he is and is still in bounds. How did you move? You should have been under my control. Izuku was going to speak up, but stopped remembering what happened the last time he did. Now angry, he moved as fast as he could to Shinso while pulling his arm back. As he did, The purple-haired man tried to put Izuku back into his hypnotic suggestions again. You don't get it, do you? People like you have greatness in you. You were born with the ability to reach heights beyond most, and it's because of that I'm hunted down. Izuku punched Shinso in the face before grabbing his shirt collar and getting ready to throw him out of bounds. Not everyone has a great marine to rely on or some cushy quirk to gain favoritism by others. You're truly one that's blessed while everyone else is stuck playing catch-up to you. I'm blessed, I know, but I'm no way ahead of anyone. If I could do something to at least allow me to use my powers without fear, I would. Pivoting his foot, Izuku threw Shinso out of the ring and onto the soft ground outside it with Midnight calling the match. Shinso is out of bounds. Portgus wins. Everyone began cheering with Izuku walking over to Shinso who was sitting up. What, are you here to gloat? No, I came to apologize. Shinso didn't answer immediately for Izuku to point out what he needed to. You spent most of your life with people thinking your quirk is evil, didn't you? To be honest, I don't blame you for thinking I'm blessed. So please understand, I don't want to be a villain just as much as you do. The problem is, people will still see me as one more than you. And even though I hate it, I still need to keep going. That's what makes life what it is. That's what both my father and grandfather knew life should be and willingly sacrificed themselves for that pursuit. What I'm trying to say is, don't give up and let people help. You'd be amazed how many people would be on your side. The two started hearing people around them talk about the fight for Shinso to understand what he meant. He might have lost, but it's not the end for him. Thanks. Also, sorry about what I said about your dad. I was just trying to get you to speak up. No problem. Izuku was placed under Shinso's quirk again before having his face get pulled to take him out. Try not to be so optimistic about people. It'll make you live longer. The two left the stadium somewhat feeling better about themselves during it. Time skipped to the next round. After every match in the first round went, Izuku found himself facing off against Shoko in the second. Itsuka won her match against Ida with her facing off against Shiozaki next. Kirishima sorta won his match against Hatsum, who more took him for a ride as showing off her gadgets before walking out of the arena herself. Momo sadly lost her match to Tokoyami because of her focusing mainly on defense and not seeing where she was to be knocked out of bounds. This hurt her sense of pride for Izuku to try and console her, saying there's always next time. What really had Izuku's blood boil, though, was seeing Ochako be beaten down by Bakugu, who moved on to the next round after she was knocked out from overusing her quirk. In an attempt to make sure she was okay, Izuku crossed paths with Bakugu in the halls for both to glare at one another. Nothing was said, but it was clear to both that they wanted to face the other in the finals. Now though, Izuku was faced with his next big hurdle, helping Shoko accept her fire and becoming her own person again. Alright folks, time for the first match of the second round. On my left, the son of fire Fist himself, Class A's Portgus D, Izuku. And on my right, she's the daughter of the number 2 hero himself, also from Class A, Shoko Todoroki. The two prepared to fight one another with Izuku getting into a running stance. Begin! In a flash, Izuku charged at Shoko as she activated her ice powers. Izuku dodged this and gave an open-palmed attack that stopped inches away. However, the feeling of an impact was felt to send Shoko backwards. Before she could be sent out of the ring, the dual-hair-colored woman stopped herself with a small glacier of ice. Continuing his momentum, Izuku closed the gap between them with his hand about to attack again. In concern, Shoko activated her fire half to send Izuku back. I guess I did the right thing by talking to you. How do you feel using it? Glancing down at her hand, Shoko saw her left side hold fire in it and saw images of her mother's mental breakdown to shake. However, an image of Izuku came to her mind and his words about what she's been doing all this time to calm her a little. It still hurts to use, but it's a step in the right direction, I think. That's the way. Now I don't have a problem using this. Izuku activated his flame quirk to storm over at Shoko. She activated both her powers to send a glacier of ice to try and stop Izuku while activating her fire half. Izuku turned himself into flames to evade the glacier while coating his hand in armament hockey and holding his flames in it. Red Hawk! The two collided with the intense pressure of both sending a shockwave and causing an explosion. When the dust settled, both stood in front of one another as if nothing happened. What the heck was that? Mike shouted as neither seemed to have any difficulties. However, This changed when Shoko held her stomach in pain, as if she had the wind knocked out of her. Unknown to most, Izuku's first attack was a decoy to gain her attention, while he simultaneously gave a second attack with armament haki towards her stomach below her main focus of sight. The impact leveled her, with Izuku relaxing himself and walking over to sit on Shoko's back. "Alright, I think I win this. She's unable to move now, and I think all the fight in her is kinda gone from the punch I gave." Midnight came over to see if this was true for Shoko to shamefully nod. Todoroki is unable to continue. Portgus wins. The crowd cheered, with Izuku picking Shoko up and placing her on his back to piggyback to Recovery Girl as a complimentary prize for her. While on his back, Shoko felt Izuku's body to be somewhat interested. His body is solid, but his hands are soft. It's almost as if he'd rather avoid hurting others but won't back down. Her head began to rest on Izuku's shoulder, enjoying the ride with a smile. In the stands, "Damn it! I want to be carried on Izuku's back." Baby 5 began biting a handkerchief in rage as the image of Izuku carrying Shoko was shown on the big screen. "Why can't I be that Todoroki girl right now?" As she shouted in anger. A similar sense of irritability swept over both Tashigi and Monet. "I don't want to be held by Izuku like that." This is only Baby 5 saying this to put it in my head. Tashigi glanced at the screen to see Shoko move her head to be in kissing distance. "Why does this irk me so much? For some reason, I feel a strange form of irritability from what I am seeing. Perhaps I can get Izuku to do that to myself for research purposes here." Monet tried to make an excuse for her, while Ochako, Momo, Kyoka and Itsuka were all watching somewhat irritatedly as well, with the same mindset to want to be carried like that as well. Alright, my epic squad. That wraps up part 1 of What If Deku Had the Mera no Mi. I hope you enjoyed every second of this fiery journey. Remember to subscribe if you haven't yet, and drop a like to help us hit our 100 like goal for the next upload. Your support means the world to me, and together we'll keep pushing the boundaries of anime theory. Once again, a special shout out to Stillwell03 for fueling this series with brilliant ideas. Stay tuned for more, and until next time, keep the fire burning, legends.